Hey guys and gals, Trevor here. Turn on the Google Hangouts, make sure everything's working. Let me check something real quick. If you guys are just now tuning in to the live broadcast or the recording, sweet. I'm gonna be getting going here in about a couple minutes, and to let some people trickle in here. It is a couple minutes before 11 o'clock, of course, Pacific time. And just want to make sure I have all the slides prepped, or my screen prepped and everything like that I need to do. And also, guys and gals, of course, I'm going to be taking questions and all that stuff. So any questions you guys have, please send them in as you have them. But this call really is going to be the aim of it, y'all. It's going to be honestly a massive coaching call. You know, hopefully you'll be able to learn what I have learned over the period of years. I'm learning even more each and every year on what I can do to be more effective in my life, what I can do to be more successful in my life, and also, you know, really what I can do to make the bigger impact. And part of that is your income, right? Part of that is making sure that we're investing the time wisely. Guys and gals, can you guys hear me? I'm popping up, open the question panel right now. It did this to me a little while ago. I'm not sure why it like logs me out every now and then. Hopefully we don't experience that anymore. But if you guys can hear me, pop through the questions panel, please. A quick double yes if you can hear me and if you can see me. That would be awesome. And then that way I know that the technology is working on our end. There's a bunch of people on here right now. So pop through the questions panel, guys and gals, if you can see me and if you can hear me. We will be good to go there. Okay, cool. So saying you can hear me, can't see me. Let's see. Can you guys see me now? This is weird. Okay, cool. You can see and hear me, can hear, not see. So it sounds like some people are able to hear me and see me. Some people are able to just hear me. Looks like, oh, there you are. So it looks like Edgar said I'm there. So everyone, can you guys physically see me and hear me? If so, let me know. Awesome. So it looks like everyone can hear and see me. So if you guys are having a problem seeing me, maybe refresh the page, guys and gals, because it looks like the majority of everyone can now hear and see me, which is cool. So we're going to get going right now. And this is one thing I've been really looking forward to. I always look forward to, yeah, that's a questions panel. Perfect, that's a questions panel. This is one of the calls I always look forward to in a big way, guys and gals, every year, is this annual planning call. And I know that doesn't make it sound very sexy. You know, that doesn't make it sound too awesome calling it an annual planning call. But basically, what I'm going to be walking through in today's call, whether you're an Investor Carrot member or not, we open up this call to everyone. Okay, this call is open up to everyone. We had almost 400 people registered for it, and there's still people streaming in even now. And there's going to be a lot of people on this call. And my aim, kind of one of the things that I am passionate about, guys and gals, is I'm really passionate about amplifying leaders. You know, people like you guys who are out there, you know, doing the hard things in life, going out there and trying to create a business or growing a business. And how do we actually take that entrepreneur fire and that entrepreneur energy and funnel it into making a big difference, and funnel it into helping you have a really insanely good income stream that protects your family. You know, I'm going to be talking about here in a bit about the 3 different levels of a success mindset that I've had to go through myself. I'm also going to be giving you guys my exact documents and planning documents that I use each year and each day to plan out my days and to plan out my years. And it's really been something that I've had to hone for myself over the years, you know, with my team and with advisors and things like that. And I'm going to tell you guys, I've used lots of different processes and systems for planning my years, for really tackling things in a very intentional way. I've failed a ton. Okay, I've failed a ton. But what I'm using now and have been using for the past 2 to 3 years is really helped us make things take off. Okay, I'm going to be walking through a little bit of my story and my journey, and hopefully you can kind of see some of yourself in that. And I'm going to raise up my desk a little bit. I've got a fancy stand-up desk here, y'all. Get my microphone a little bit closer so you guys can hear me better. Yep, that's the questions panel. If you guys are typing in the questions and they're coming to me, that is the questions panel. Let me just clear all these out really quick. There's like a bajillion people in here. And before we dive in, I always love to know kind of where people are calling in from. So let me know, guys and gals, where you're calling in from and where you're calling in from, your name, and why you decided to hop on this call. Okay, because you can have there's so many other things you can be investing your time in right now. Okay, and there's hundreds of people on this Google Hangout with me right now, and there's so many things you can be investing your time in right now. Why have you decided to show up today and carve out this time? What was it about the way that we presented this Google Hangout with you that you're like, man, if I show up there, this is going to help me solve X problem in my life, or this is going to help me get toward X in my life, which is where I want to go. Let me know through the questions panel right now, so I can kind of really have a great idea of exactly why you showed up, so I can solve that problem for you on this next 90 minutes or so, okay? And there's some people popping in here, and like I said, there's a lot of Carrot customers on here. There's a lot of people who aren't, but Kyle Cook, awesome, Kyle. Kyle Cook's on here. Anthony from Los Angeles wants to take it to the next level, and that's something. Yep, that's for the call, Grace. I saw your question there, and that's really something that I was looking for 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago to try to take it to the next level. The thing is, I really didn't know what the next level was. You know, I was just looking at the next level in financial means, and I'm going to be walking you guys through how I had to transition through some mindset shifts to where hopefully, if you're looking at just the financial means this year, next year you're looking at significance in your impact, significance in your life, significance in helping not just yourself or your family, but people around you. I'm awesome. Brian Robbs from Jersey, welcome on here. Edgar, of course, man. Texas, help me create. Let me say. Awesome. Help me correctly set up my business goals, dude. I'm going to help you with that for sure today. Tracy, awesome, from Roseburg. Just want to learn and grow. Beautiful. Here, Jessica from Roseburg. Awesome. I need focus and motivation. Well, hopefully I'll be able to give you guys both of that. Now, some of y'all might be kind of going through this. Willis Cook from Roseburg. Awesome, man. Willis is working. He's an entrepreneur, owns a really great company here. Work on his 2017 business plan right now, dude. I'm going to show you exactly what we're doing to grow so fast and really get hyper-focused. From Rhode Island, there's a lot of good stuff in here, guys and gals. FSBOs are drying up in your area. Mostly do lease purchase, but want to get more seller leads. Awesome. So there's a bunch of people from all over the country here, and I can't read y'all in here, but it sounds like everyone really wants to get clarity on this next year. Everyone wants to be crazy intentional about this next year. I think everyone wants to increase their happiness, you know, and get more focused, and really make sure that you're investing your time in a cause that's worthy and not wasting your time. Right. And yet, Mark, you're going to get the same template that I use every single day, every single year to go out and do this stuff. I keep on seeing this, guys. I need focus. This is just over and over again. I need focus. So we're going to be nailing that. Alex, right there, man. So Alex Youngblood's on here. So we're going to dive in. Okay. So I'm going to actually get away from the video here. I'm going to turn on my screen, and I want to respect y'all's time here. And let me know through the questions panel if you guys can see my presentation slides that I'm turning on right meow. So you guys should have heard that or seen that right now. So let me know through the questions panel. Yep, that's the window, Alex. You're on here, man. Let me know through the questions panel if you guys can see the big orange slide that says Planning in Epic 2017 now. Okay, and if that's the case, then we are going to be awesome. Beautiful. Someone in here says, I feel like I can relate to your story, want to declutter my life and gain some purpose. Joe from Pennsylvania. Man, I'm going to show you exactly how I did that. Okay. Let's see. Yep, that's for the call, Grace. So let me see. Can you guys see my awesome? You guys can see the slides. Okay, beautiful. So we're going to dive in. So this process that I've gone through is something like, so this call should be about 90 minutes, depending on question and answer, but it could honestly be some of the best 90 minutes you invest this year, okay, or even possibly the next 5 years. And I've definitely struggled, guys and gals, over the years. You know, if you guys have ever taken what's called the Colby test, it's just kind of a personality test that gauges the way that you work. And I'm what they call a high quick start, low follow through, which means I have lots of ideas all the time. Sometimes it kind of bulldozes the team. I'm sure they can get frustrated sometimes. And oftentimes I leave a million things open, you know, a million things hanging open. So there's all these little things, and it's been part of my life the whole time, that if I don't have clear structure and clear guidance, then I have a really tough time succeeding. Now, so when I was in college, I did really good because you're given all these boundaries, you're given specific things you need to do, and you have real timelines and deadlines. When we get into the real world, especially as we become entrepreneurs, we don't have that anymore. So we've got to create our own structure. We've got to find something that works for us. We've got to create our own deadlines and urgency in life, okay? And I'm going to show you guys how I do it. Kylie, awesome, man. Yep, beautiful, man. Kylie Newbold is on here, one of the top Facebook guys. So I'm going to throw this at you guys, okay? Do something today that your future self will thank you for. Our actions and decisions today will shape the way that we will be living in the future. Now let that sink in a little bit. Okay, let that sink in a little bit. Casey, good morning, man. Do something today that your future self will thank you for. The decisions you're literally making today to be on this call or not be on this call, to cut out halfway through this call or go look at Facebook and play Farmville, to cut out halfway through this call and do something that's more urgent than important. What you're going to be doing on today's call, guys and gals, is one of the things that's on your to-do list, which I'm going to show you guys my daily to-do list sheet, and we're going to give you the download for that, in addition to some other frameworks. But on my to-do list, there's a section that says important, low urgency, or low importance, high urgency. This call today is a high importance, low urgency call. You don't have to be here, okay? You don't have to be here, but it could be one of the most important 90 minutes you spend. So make sure that you're avoiding the temptation during this next 90 minutes to go be distracted by low important, high urgency stuff, okay? So make that decision today. Now, we always open up our weekly mastermind calls. Now, if you guys are not a Carrot client, this is actually a mastermind call. We do them every single week with our clients. Most of the time we're diving into online marketing stuff, SEO, pay-per-click, you know, building credibility, things like that. But I love doing these calls where it's more on the mindset side, because you can have all the tactics in the world. You can find tactics online in forums and things like that. Where you get the biggest leverage is where you change patterns in your life and change patterns in the way that you do business. But I want to share this weekly dose of awesomeness. Every single week, we always share a weekly dose of awesomeness. This one's from Jeff from Oklahoma. Not sure if you're on here, Jeff, but Jeff says, this one just came in just recently. We get these things every single day. We love to celebrate them with our community. But thank you so much. I purchased Carrot, my Carrot site at the end of September, and over the first 60 days, I've been able to go from real estate hobbyist to a legitimate real estate investing company. I've purchased my 6th property since launching my website, and been able to produce over $50,000 profits in the first 60 days. Jeff is a softball coach in Oklahoma. He's now a real estate investor too, building that company up. And let's throw some love and throw some celebration over to Jeff. And I'm just really grateful, Jeff, that you shared your story with us like so many other clients do. And man, make sure you're planning out the next year like we're going into now to really take it to that next level, but build your business intentionally. So let's throw some love to Jeff, guys and gals. And Jeff, awesome, awesome work, man. So if you're having any problems, with viewing this at all, first of all, the questions panel there is on the right side of the screen. If you put them in there, we do get them. Okay, next thing is if you're having any fuzziness on the screen, that's usually an internet connection issue on your end, and Google kind of throttles down Google Hangouts. It throttles them down a little bit, so it takes it takes your quality down. So if you want to make it crystal clear, just click that little gear button there, that gear button at the bottom of the video player. Up will pop this thing that says quality. Okay, gear button quality, and then choose the HD option. It'll take you about 5 seconds. And if you're seeing any fuzziness, that'll usually clear it right up. And it kind of overrides Google's settings to make it clear for you. Okay. This is a great one that just came through, guys. It says, I'm stuck. I really need help to get started, especially since I have a full-time job. Deborah, the best way to get unstuck, and the best way if you have a full-time job when you're trying to build something else or build your dream or whatever it is you need to get crazy intentional and plan things out insanely well, which this call is going to help you do. Okay. Most people are wandering too much. We need to get crazy, crazy clear. So if you don't know me yet, my name is Trevor, living here in a small town called Roseburg, Oregon, which is a bunch of Roseburg people on this call, it looks like. And I'm really proud of the town that we live in. I'm really proud of the things that we're building here, not just our company, but the community in general. And one of the things that we're building here, of course, is Carrot, the software company. And we've started from scratch about 3 years ago, so third full year. And to kind of set you some context as I dive into my story, just a 5-minute story, then we're going to dive into your story and how we can make your story better. Is my previous companies, we always did pretty decently well. It never was getting rich off of anything, but it was made a good income. It was consistent, not really predictable, but it was consistent. But I wasn't really happy. That's the thing. Like, I think I always had to try new things because deep in my heart, I just wasn't happy and fulfilled. I knew that I was really vastly underachieving in my life. And I'm not talking over and underachievement as it relates to money. Okay, not as it relates to money. Guys and gals, can you see my screen still? Russell just popped in here, said it's just blank. So I want to make sure it's not for anyone else. But I really had this frustration with my previous company. I had a great business partner, great team members, great clients. But in the end, I needed something new and different. So I cleared out my life during that during that 2-year period. And you guys are going to hear more about how I did it and how you can do the same thing if you're going through something similar. It sounds like mostly everyone else can see it. Yep, perfect. You're on the right slide. But I'm going to walk through the process that I did. But as soon as I cleared things out, I got crazy clear on what I really wanted to do in life. And I saw this bigger vision, and this bigger vision for a software company, big problem that we can serve, but also building a company that built a big platform so we could put out a message that truly changed people's lives, that amplified leaders like you guys. So you guys would have less hassling with the things that are holding you back so you can make your greater difference. And that's why we're here. That's why we built the Carrot team, which our team is even bigger than that now. That was at our last company retreat. Our next company retreat is here in January coming up. And I'm just really excited about what we're doing. I'm just going to be sharing with you guys how it's working, okay? And yeah, guys and gals, if you guys are having any issues with it freezing or something, it's likely on your end, on your connection. So just refresh the page and come back in, okay? So I want you guys to kind of really internalize these questions. Does any of these describe you? Okay, does any of these describe you? Are you a high achieving entrepreneur or person, don't have to be an entrepreneur, could have a job, and you don't want to settle for living for an average life? Okay, there's so many people. How many people are there on the sort of 7 billion or something like that? And there's really no reason that any single person can't step out there and live the life that they want to live. Okay, the thing is, most people settle for average because they don't think that there's anything more beyond average in their life. They don't want to challenge themselves, or maybe they don't have the tools and environment like you guys have right now with this call to get past that phase in their life. Do you feel like you're working your butt off but not getting closer to your ultimate goals? You set goals for the year, but by March you forget about them because you're not really making big progress. You kind of let life choose what you spend your time on. You find yourself saying yes to almost any opportunity that looks good and is profitable. And before you know it, you're working on 100 different projects. Half of them are finished, half of them aren't, and none of them are living up to the opportunity and to the potential you know they can. Do you start each day feeling overwhelmed at everything you have to do and the little time you have to do it? And you really wish that finally one of your businesses or business ideas would grow to its full potential rather than just doing decent kind of leveling off. Well, I said yes to each one of these things about 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. Okay, I was in a phase of my life where I wasn't crazy happy about things, that's for sure, even though from the outside in, about 5 years ago, I think everyone would kind of say that, man, he's got it made. And you know what? I did made, and I did have it made, and I do have it made. Okay, and I think, looking back, there's a lot of mindset issues I had to work through, even though I was kind of the guy who was always positive. The people here in Roseburg can definitely attest to the fact that, when you see me at our pub talks each month, or entrepreneur pub talks, or just in life, like, I think I'm just hardwired to be positive, but deep inside, I would just always had this angst that there was something off. there was something off. And I think I was taking on so much and doing this and doing that and so scattered with things that life just became crazy. It wasn't what I had pictured when I was in high school or in college on what my life would look like, especially knowing that I had set out to build my own business, and I had my own business. It was only my fault that I was in that position. No one else's fault. So I went through this massive mindset shift from going from unfocused and meandering and really busy. When people say, "How you doing?" I would use busy as something to hang my hat on, like it was a good thing. Oh man, I'm busy. Being busy is not good. Okay, being intentional with your time is great, but I found that being busy is not good. Okay, so now how am I more focused, more intentional, and way more happy? And also my income went up by tenfold. So how did that happen in a period of 3 to 4 years? It all happened with exactly what we're going to be walking through today. Now, am I going to say that I have all of this licked and I'm never unfocused and never unintentional and have dips where you kind of feel like you're in the dumps? Heck no, guys and gals, we all go through those things. But when we have a framework that we can get out of it quicker, then you can really you can level out those dips. Okay. So here's my 4-step process to an epic year. And it's taken me, like I said, about 4 to 5 years to hone it. And each and every year I hone it some more. So if you guys come back at next year's call, the likelihood that there'll be some different stuff in here is pretty high. If you guys were at last year's planning call, there's a whole section, probably half of this call is different. So don't feel like you've got to bounce out, because half of this call from last year is different with my improvements on what we've done to make myself more productive, our team more effective, income go up, more intentional, more happy, all the things I've learned. Okay. So first of all, guys and gals, I had to get my mindset right and do a mindset reset. And we're going to walk through how you can do the same thing. Second of all, a solid annual planning process. This is something that I really didn't implement until about 2 years ago. And now it's just, I can't tell you how important it is to the business. So you've got to have a solid annual planning process. I'm going to walk you through exactly what mine is and give you the templates for it. Number 3, keeping course throughout the year. So no matter how amazing your plans are, if you don't have some guide, some frameworks to help you stay your course during the year, it's really easy to, like I said in one of those bullet points earlier, to get to March and you're really excited about your goals in January, February, March, your excitement kind of wanes. You're in the middle of summer, you're goofing off and playing. And by the end of the year, you're just looking back going, oh my gosh, I wasted another year. It's because you don't have things in place to keep the course, and neither did I. Now I do. And then number 4, this is one of the big ones that I've really started to be crazy intentional with, is how do you craft a winning environment? And I'm talking a winning environment around you every day. Okay, and I'm showing you guys exactly what I do to surround myself to help create a winning environment with really simple, easy things that you guys can do too. Okay, sweet. And if there's a couple people saying that it might be lagging or the transmission is a little bit slow, yes, this will be available for viewing later. But like I said, there's 2 internet connections involved here. So if you're on Wi-Fi or shared Wi-Fi, there might be some issues there. Okay, but this will be recorded for sure, guys and gals, if you're having a connection with the problem with the connection you're in. So the first thing that we've got to go through, because I could give you my templates and my annual planning process and all that stuff, which I am going to here in about 15 minutes. But I have found that you can have the most amazing tool, most amazing process in the world. If your mindset hasn't caught up to the process, then those processes are not going to be doing you any good. Okay, it's kind of like, what do they say about computers? Garbage in, garbage out. If you have a bunch of garbage in your mind, your goals and your way that you're planning your goals are just going to look like garbage coming out on the back on the other side. And that's what I was going through 3, 4, 5 years ago, where I would sit down, I would go through the motions to plan, but none of it stuck. None of it stuck. I wasn't insanely excited and inspired by it when I was done. And so none of it really stuck throughout the year. So we're going to walk through some things that I have done over the years to make some massive mindset shifts that have helped me to really focus on what's important in the grand scheme of things. Because I think it's really easy, especially as high-achieving people, high-achieving entrepreneurs, that we oftentimes are looking, way out there on the horizon. Being big vision thinkers is amazing, but if we're always thinking on the horizon and hardly ever are we thinking what's directly in front of us, what's actually the most important in the whole scheme of things, that's how we really get lost and we lose our gratitude. unhappy, you have that angst that you can't reach your goals and you feel like you're a failure, and that's not any mindset that we want to be in. So one of the first things we've got to do is we've got to really clear our minds for the important things. And here's a quote that I found just to kind of hopefully make this hit home for everyone, how much clutter there is in your mind each and every day. Based on this, our impulsive and logical thinking, where more complex decisions are made. So what this is called decision fatigue. I'm going to walk you through. And according to multiple sources on the internet, the average amount of remotely conscious decisions an adult makes each day is approximately 35,000. Okay, those are not subconscious decisions, remotely conscious decisions. That is, when am I going to get out the door? What clothes am I going to wear? What time am I going to brush my teeth? What am I going to eat for breakfast? Am I going to open that window or not? Am I going to, what speed am I going to go? Like, there's all these decisions, guys and gals, that we make that we don't even realize we're making. Okay, what am I making for breakfast? Am I going to grab this coat or that coat? Am I going to fire up this? What do I do first when I fire up my computer? There's 1,000 things we're looking at. In contrast, young children only make about 3,000 decisions each day, which still sounds like a lot. And you guys have maybe seen this phenomenon. There's Steve Jobs isn't the only one. There's a lot of people that you'll see here. Here's a bunch of pictures of Steve Jobs, from 98 all the way up until 2010. So that's almost 2 decades there. And I'm sorry, almost it's a little over a decade. And you can see he kind of had his trademark blue jeans and black turtleneck. Now, a lot of people think that this is because Steve Jobs just loved those clothes. But in actuality, he realized there's something called decision fatigue. In decision-making and psychology, decision fatigue refers to the deteriorating quality of decisions made by an individual after a long session of decision-making. It's now understood as one of the causes of irrational trade-offs in decision-making. So if you're going through and having to decide every single day on all these little things, and all these little decisions are cluttering your mind, it makes it way, way, way harder for your mind to make the big decisions. So oftentimes, what will we do? Oftentimes we'll go and work on those low important, high urgency projects because we have decision fatigue by 1, 2, 3 in the afternoon. Okay, maybe you're thinking about things so much at night and you're going to bed late and you're waking up in the morning already with a little bit of decision fatigue, and you make a few decisions in the morning about breakfast and about this and about that, and all of a sudden you get to work and your mind is already shot for the decisions for the day. So the first thing we've got to do is we've got to clear out that mind, okay? And one of the best ways that I found it, and I found this by accident, guys and gals, and this literally, no matter how simple this will seem to you, this literally changed my life. And you're going to look at this and probably roll your eyes and, oh my gosh, I didn't come on this call to learn about how to fold my clothes, right? But here's this thing. So when I was going through that period in my life where I was just working on way too many things, always busy, never accomplished, not really that happy. No business that I had was living up to the potential I knew that it could. I was confused on what I should be focusing on. I was confused on what my vision and purpose really were. Okay. One day I sat down and watched the video. Okay. And this video was this general, you guys maybe have seen it. This video was this general, a 5-star general. He was giving a commencement address at a college. You guys can look it up and find him. But he was talking through his story as a general and as a soldier. And he said, most of the time when people join the military, they've got this vision in mind with going to war, right? They want to go to war and they want to really contribute and fight for their country. And he said in basic training boot camp, one of the first things that you learn it every single day and it's completely drilled into you, is how to fold your clothes, how to fold your bed, how to arrange all the little things in your bunk exactly so. You've got to do it the exact way that they teach you. It has to be at a certain time. It's got to pass inspection. If it doesn't, you redo it. And they're insanely sticklers about it. And he was talking about it saying, as a new recruit, he was going through that process going, oh my gosh, I came here to go to war and fight for my country. I didn't come here to learn how to fold clothes. So he didn't really see the importance of it until he went to war. So until he was out there on the front lines and he was sitting there thinking, he's like, oh my gosh, now I get it. I'm so glad that the people that are fighting next to me did the small things right. And the military understands it, that if you can get the small things right and make them automatic, so you have less decisions to make, so you have less clutter in your mind. Even the little things like a dresser drawer that's cluttered, where your shirts or underwear or pants are not folded, that creates clutter in your mind. You get in your truck If it's dirty, that creates clutter in your mind. Your office, how does your office look? And I'm going to say I'm not the best with this. Okay, I'm not the best at all. I'm probably the opposite end of that, so I have to work harder than anyone. But there was this one day that I opened up my closet. This is back in 2011. I opened up my closet, and it was a mess. And I'm like, just thought about it, like, you know what? That's not the best that I can do. And that year, my mission in life, like I had really struggled with my purpose and vision and mission in life. And I kind of had made things up that I thought sounded cool, you know, inspire 1 million entrepreneurs, start a business, those kinds of things, which it wasn't hitting me to my core. So that year I finally gave up and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to quit banging my head against the wall, trying to find my purpose in life. Because everyone says you've got to find your purpose. And I can't find mine, so I'm just going to quit finding my purpose. My purpose that year I had set was to do the best I could possibly do at everything, including the little things. That was it. I'm like, I can do that. I can completely get excited about that and make that my purpose. It was not easy. But I noticed myself finding all kinds of things popping up. I noticed myself finding all kinds of things popping up in my life that were cluttered, that were cluttering in my mind, that were stopping me from being able to make good, big decisions and focus on the important stuff. That closet was one of them. Okay, so what did I do that day, that second? I literally said, you know what, this is not the best I can do. I took every piece of clothes out of the closet, threw them on the floor, got rid of half of my clothes, and then rearranged my closet. And it's been that way ever since, you know, over 4 years, 5 years later. And this is with a history of me being just messy. My bedroom growing up was messy. You know, my mom, bless her heart, she wasn't the cleanest person in the world. Okay, so for me, she didn't make us kids have to go out there and clean everything all the time. So I figured, you know what, that's just me. I'm a messy person. I'm just going to adopt that mindset, and it's okay if I have a couple things messy because that's me. Okay, 2 weeks later, I opened up my dresser drawer and my shirts were a mess, you know, because you'd fold them one day, it'd all be great. And then over the period of weeks, your dresser drawer would become messy again. And it's like, it just kind of happens, right? And then I opened up the drawer that day. I'm like, you know what? This is not okay. That's not the best that I can do. That right there is creating clutter in my life. So I'm going to dig through all the time and try to find clothes in the morning and this and that. I took everything out, got rid of half of my clothes, folded them. To this day, my shirt drawer on the left side is perfectly folded with all my t-shirts with prints. On the right side, perfectly folded with all my t-shirts with nothing on them. And it has stayed that way since. And I've tried to knock down those things in my life ever since then. Once I focused on nailing the simple things, the big things started to really materialize. And if any of you guys are really going, oh my gosh, I feel so much clutter, you know, I'm doing this, doing that. Look at the little things in your life and see what you can really improve. See if you can challenge yourself this next year to make part of your mission to do the best that you can possibly do in everything in your life, even the little things. I remember one instance crystal clear. I kind of got in a bad habit over the years of just putting my dish on the counter. And once again, it was a habit that I formed when I was younger and I just didn't kick it. And I always had the intention of going back and washing it, but oftentimes my wife would kind of go and grab it, you know, later and wash it, and sometimes make a comment, sometimes not. One day I set that dish on the counter, fully intentional about washing it later. And I took 2 or 3 steps, you know, turned around, took 2 or 3 steps away, stopped dead in my tracks. And it was like, man, that's not the best I can do. And I turned back around, washed the dish, put it in the dishwasher, and went on with my day. So that's the first thing, guys and gals. Really internalize this over the coming weeks, coming days, coming months. And find those moments where you're creating clutter in your life. Get the simple things nailed. So like the general said, when you nail the simple things, the big things really take a lot less mental energy and you can do them better. He said, I would not be in a foxhole with someone who did not nail the small, simple things in life first. Because the big things, those life-threatening things, they need every ounce of mental energy you can get. And if you want to really achieve something big in the world, it's the same thing. That's why Steve Jobs wears the same darn thing every day. And that's why other people do as well. So the next thing that I really had to tackle was urgency. And now how many people, Russell, if you are on, so here we go, Russell. Let me, there's a couple people having some struggles with get on the page here. So I'm just gonna get this over here. There we go. So hopefully that gets you there, Russell. So the next thing that I found that was a big issue for me, and I know this is a huge issue for a lot of people, is urgency, right? So urgency or lack thereof, I found is one of the biggest problems that we as human beings have, okay? And one of the biggest fixes I've found is to recognize our own mortality, all righty? That's one of the biggest fixes I've found. Now you guys might be going, well, what the heck? What do you mean? See, I have no problem with urgency at all. Well, what happens oftentimes is we'll have a goal or we'll have something we know that we want to tackle. It could be, to be more physically fit. It could be, you know what, I'm gonna start eating better. You know what, I'm gonna tackle that goal. I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna read the Bible more, whatever it is. And we're really excited about it in the moment, but then we lose track of that excitement. The urgency is gone. Or we say, you know what, I'll do that later. I've got all the time in the world. But one thing that I want to challenge you with is this, and I know I've mentioned Steve Jobs a few times, but I love this quote from him. He says, remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make the big choices in life. Almost everything, all external expectations, all pride, all fear of embarrassment or failure, these things will just fall away in the face of death, leaving only what's truly important. Remembering that you're going to die is the best way that I know to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose. You're already naked. There's no reason to not to follow your heart. No one wants to die. Even people who want to go to heaven don't want to die to get there. And yet death is the destination we all share. No one has ever escaped it, and that is how it should be, because death is very likely the single best invention of life. It's life's change agent. It clears out the old to make way for the new. And what he's talking about here, guys and gals, is really recognizing our mortality. Okay, we have to realize that we're not going to be here forever. And you guys might be going, I showed up on this call to get your annual planning process, and I'm going to give that to you here in a second. But the thing is, if we don't nail this mindset stuff, guys and gals, you're going to be planning stuff that's going to take you off course from being happy. You can plan the wrong stuff all day long. Okay, and I did that for years, and I still fall into those traps. Okay, but let's show this visually. So we're kind of talking about mortality and really internalizing that, hey, we're not going to be here forever. So let's really get our butts in gear and do the important things now. If you have a bad relationship with your father or mother or brother or sister, don't wait for 5 years to repair it today. You don't know if you're going to be here tomorrow. Okay, and here's a good way to visually show this. You can find the full blog post on this blog post called waitbutwhy.com, and it's an amazing blog post. So this guy wrote these visuals to really help us hone in on and make a massive impact on our mortality. Okay, so there's 90 diamonds here. Each one of those diamonds represents a year in your life from birth to death, assuming that you live a 90-year life. Okay, now I know that's a little bit above the average, but it's right around that average for females. I think males are a little bit lower than that, but there's a ton of people, guys and gals, who live 90 or above. So when we look at it this way, that doesn't look like many diamonds, does it? In our minds, we think we're going to live forever. It's like almost this thing that, as young people, I don't need health insurance. I'm not going to get sick. It's almost like, where you're 25 or you're 45 or you're 75 or whatever it is. I've still got, lots of years in me. You're 50 years in. It's like, I'm only halfway done. Are you? Or are you not? So now let's look at it this way now. Okay. So here is a 90-year human life in months, from birth to death at the age 90. Okay. So now I am 34 years old. So that means this entire swath up here is gone. Okay. So I am right about in this phase here. So if you look at that, if we were to darken all of those circles, that kind of puts into perspective. If I were fortunate enough to live to 90 or past, guys and gals, that's a huge number of days behind me. Now, I don't mean to sound more, but I don't need to sound negative on this. But we need to create urgency in our life. Are you 40, 50, 60, 70 years old? How much urgency do you need to make stuff happen now that's important? I'm not just talking business. Let's make it really real. Okay. It's winter time right now. Let's say you absolutely love skiing or snowboarding, or let's say you love going to the beach in whatever season, or let's say that you love visiting your parents or certain family members. Okay, and let's say that you go skiing once a year. Okay, once a year from the time that you're 15 till the time that you're, let's say, maybe 65 years old. All right, I'm just making this up. So if you really drill that down, and I don't know how many dots are in here, but or how many snowflakes are here, but each and every time you go skiing, whatever that thing is that you love or enjoy or spend time with the family, there's one more time behind you. Okay, now you might look ahead and go, well, shoot, I'm 35 years old or 45 years old, and I go once a year, and I think I could probably be healthy enough to do till I'm 65. guys and gals, if you're going once a year and you absolutely love this thing, there's less than 20 times remaining of you being up on that mountain during the winter skiing. That's not many times. Okay, one thing that really hit me was my parents live about 3 hours away, and we might see them every couple months. You know, my dad is 60, my mom's pushing 60, and there's no guarantee that they're going to live to 90. I really hope that they do. But you know, let's say that something were to happen, and my father, knock on wood, has fewer years than that left. You know, and let's say I visit them 4 times a year. You know, over a 10-year period, let's say, you know, that's 40 more visits. That really brings it home that I may, unless I change my patterns, only have a few dozen times with my parents, and that's not cool. So how do we combat that? We create urgency for spending that time today. We create urgency for those goals today. And if you want to make it really real, guys and gals, this right here is the number of days in a person's life, okay? And this right here, all of the red stuff, this is the number of days in a person's life with your parents, okay? So you figure that from the time you're born till you're, let's say, 18 years old, you're spending almost every day with your parents, right? Once you move out, fewer and fewer days. Okay, once you move away, fewer and fewer days. If I were to look at it this way, these are all of the days that I have behind me as a mid-30s, you know, mid-30-year-old, 34. These are all the days I have behind me with my parents, and just the days I have ahead of me, unless I change patterns and create more urgency. So what urgency do you guys need to really make in your life? I want to make that really sink in, because the urgency, the things that you need to do now are the things we need to be planning. Okay, if you need to repair some relationships, put that in your darn plan for 2017 and take action on it in January. If you really need to ramp up your income, don't wait until February or March or April to get things happening. Get it in your plan today. Okay, and the cool thing is you can accomplish a lot of stuff in a short amount of time. Groupon, which used to be worth billions of dollars, they got to $1 billion in value within 6 months of starting the company. Okay, Josh Justiniano, they within a year of their business had online leads completely take over as their top lead and deal getting resource in just a matter of months, you know, 12 months or so. Okay, Brian Harris, I'm not sure if you're on here, but he's crushing it as well. And you can make a lot of things happen in a short amount of time. The main thing is, what we do is we derail ourselves. Okay, we derail ourselves, guys and gals, with the energy we have to do things. So if we know that we need to, you know, lessen our decision fatigue and get rid of some of those simple things in life, fold your clothes, do those simple things so it's not wearing on your mind and creating decision fatigue, and then really have urgency for those things that are actually important, the things that are really important in your life, okay, not just making a couple extra bucks, then we need to channel our energy in the right way. Okay, since we only have one go around, you know, are we using our time wisely while we have it? And what most of us look like when we're doing our work on the day-to-day, okay, is we look like this, and I looked exactly like this and still sometimes do. Okay, you only have so much energy and time to put into accomplishing X, right? But what we often do is we'll go, you know what, here's a good project, let me start that one. Oh, this one looks great, let me start that one. This opportunity came along. Oh, I've got to do that, and that's gonna make good money. And let me do this, let me do this, let me do that. And oftentimes we'll have 10, 15, 20 different projects out there that are started, halfway done. All of them took energy, all of them took time, you know, maybe even they took money resources, but we don't have anything to show for it. Who on here has ever or is going through this right now in your life? Whoever feels like this, where you start so many things, you have so many things halfway done, and so you look back at the end of the week and go, oh my gosh, I was so busy this week, but I didn't get anything done. I don't have anything to show for it. Let me know through the questions panel, guys and gals, if that's you. All right. So on the flip side of that, what we need to do is, you know, like I said, everything you focus on in 2017 takes your mental energy. Okay. So what we need to focus on is, rather than spreading ourselves around and starting and stopping a bunch of different projects, we need to focus on this. We need to focus on channeling our energy toward the 1 or 2, 3, maybe max most important things in 2017. When you put your energy into fewer things, you choose less but better. Okay, and I got this out of a book. Shoot, what is the darn book called? Got this out of a book. Hit me up and I can tell you exactly what book it is. But that's when things start to blow up in a good way and really take off in your life. That's when, in that period of my life in 2012, I said, you know what, I've got all this stuff going on. I was chasing opportunity after opportunity because they looked great. You know, I think I was trying to find that happiness and purpose. And I took on way too many things. And that year I said, you know what, I'm done. I'm getting rid of my business shares in these 3 businesses. I sold them. I even gave some of it back, even though it cost me a bunch of money. I fully committed and said, you know what, this year, my challenge, my purpose once again is to do the best I can possibly do in my life at all things, little things and big things, and focus on one business this year. No matter how tempting it is to add on this or add on that, I'm going to focus on one business this year and take it as big as I can get it. And we'll see what happens. At the end of the year, then I can change and I can add stuff if I want to. But this year, I'm staying disciplined. And when that happened, guys and gals, you still are putting out the same amount of energy. You're still putting out the same amount of time. But I'm not sure if you picked up on this. All of these little lines here are the exact same length as this longer line. But the thing is, you put out the same amount of energy, same amount of time, same amount of resources, and gotten nowhere with it, except for frustration. You channel that energy into 1, maybe 2 big initiatives, 1 business this next year, 1 focus. You can take it and make it big. That's how you make a big impact. That's what happened with Carrot. That's how we grew from 0 to multiple millions in revenue within 2.5 to 3 years. Okay, it wasn't because we chose to do 20 different things right. We chose to do one thing amazingly. And that's one of the biggest mistakes I think that people make. And when you try to do way too many different things, when you're planning out all these different things, these different businesses, if you're a real estate investor and you're like, here's my wholesaling side, here's my flipping side, here's my rental side, and here's my lease option side, here's this. You know, you're not really doing anything to serve any of those sides really, really well. You're probably doing them all very mediocre. So we chose to be great instead of mediocre. And you do that by channeling that energy. So what can you channel your energy into this next year? What can you channel that energy into so you go out there and absolutely crush it this next year? And you look back at the end of the year and go, oh my gosh, I never thought that I could accomplish that in a year. You know, before I'd be spinning my wheels, being so busy on all these different things. I look back and I always felt like, man, where did the time go? I didn't accomplish anywhere near where I wanted to. Instead, you're going to look back and go, man, that year was amazing. I got some massive momentum. I feel clear. I feel rested almost because I'm focusing on one thing. I feel like I can dive deep into this thing and be great at it rather than be mediocre at 100 things. And hopefully this is hitting home for many of you guys. Okay. Albert Einstein, he's a pretty smart dude. And he said, we are most productive when we focus on a very small number of projects in which we can devote a large amount of attention. Can you imagine if Einstein, when he was trying to make his theory of relativity, if he was also working on 3 or 4 other calculations that same day or that same week or same month? I've read stories about him. He would hide away for months, days, weeks, whatever it was, and calculate and think deep and just sit there and think. Because he knew if he could sit there and think on that one thing, he could unleash this massive power that he could never do if he was bouncing between one thing to the next. Okay, so which model are you in here? So hopefully we're going to focus on one big thing this year with our planning. I'm going to give you that template here in about 5 minutes. But which mode are you in? I was having a talk with my management team here at Carrot yesterday. We have our weekly planning call, and we're going through and finalizing the refresh of our vision, our core values, and things like that to really get excited about this next year and get crazy intentional about this next year for our whole team and for our clients too. We're going to roll it out to all of our clients too. And one thing that I realized was that we have these different levels of life that we go through, and I didn't make this up. Okay, this came out of a great book I'm going through called Developing the Leader Within You by John Maxwell, going through it with the whole team. All right, so we all start at this phase right here, okay, in the survival phase, right? We all start in that survival phase. And that's kind of like your back's against the wall, you're just starting your company, whatever it is, guys, because that's where you have to go out there and do whatever you're doing to survive, okay? That's where you're trying to do whatever you can do to bring in revenue, because you got to. That's where you're trying to do whatever you can do to, you know, go out there and get food on the table, to, you know, maintain your health, things like that. We've all been in that phase probably, okay? I know I was in that phase massively in 2005, 6, 7, 8, you know, after I graduated college. Okay, and then you start to get some successes. You found some things that worked for you. You found some mentors maybe, and you start to go up to that next level of success. And in the survival mode, we're all focused on security. Like, that's it. You know, you are just focused on security for you and your family, and that's it. It's really hard to think about being successful and significant at that point. Okay. So then after we get past the survival mode, we have a little bit of money in the bank, you have a little bit of consistency going on. Then we start to shift mentally over toward, man, I want to be a success. Whatever your version of success is. Okay. I want to be wealthy. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want to be happy. I want to be, X, whatever your success is. You might see people out there posting pictures of their cars or their houses or vacations they go on. And at this mode, you are in that mindset. Okay. You're like, that's what I want. That's where we're focused on status and money. And what I want you guys to do is, as we're talking about this, I want you to nail where in this pyramid you are in your life, because it's really important, because it's gonna come and play big time when we start to do our annual planning. All right, and there's nothing wrong with being in this phase, because in order to get to significance, I feel you have to go through the success phase. Okay, in this phase also, you start to see opportunity everywhere, because you're starting to see money and you're starting to have things work, and you're racking up maybe some successes here and there, little ones, big ones. You start to see opportunity. This is where you can get overloaded with opportunity. You might take on too much. You might get indigestion from opportunity. I heard a quote. Don't know who to attribute it to, but it's such a great quote that businesses rarely die from starvation. They die from indigestion. They die from too much stuff, too much of everything, too much opportunity, too much this, too much that. Okay, so this is where dying from indigestion business-wise can happen. Okay, and then our goal is to leave a legacy. So how do you climb from success to significance? And I'd love for you guys to pop through the questions panel what mode you're in. Are you in survival? Are you in success? Or are you in significance? Okay, and I know for me, about 2 years ago, I started to transform from the success mode to significance. That's one of the reasons I'm doing this call. I absolutely love helping amplify leaders be more significant in their lives and make that impact. Okay, so nail where you are on here. It could even be in between these. Write it down on a piece of paper right now, along with that 1 or 2 big focuses that you think you can focus on this next week, this next month, this next year. Okay, now we're gonna go through my annual planning process. So whip out a piece of paper, and you're gonna get these slides. So you guys will be able to get the slides. I don't actually have a PDF template for this yet. Maybe, I know Alex is on here. Awesome. Edgar's in success mode. Grace is in survival mode. So we need to really focus on, there's a bunch of other ones popping through. We really need to focus on what mode we're in so we can best focus our energy in the first quarter, second quarter of 2017 on solving that. Okay, so if we're in survival mode, we should not be doing 400 different things. We should find one thing that works and repeat it until we get out of survival mode. Okay, if we're in success mode and you're just still in success mode, you're not ready to transcend to significance, awesome. We need to be focusing on systems, on processes, on people, building a team, so you can focus more of your energy and time on significance. If you're in significance mode or getting closer to it, you need to be really focusing on leadership. Okay, so you can lead those people to make a massive impact in the way that you want to make. All right, so here's the annual planning process, and this really changed the game for me. Like I said, we've adjusted it over the past 3 years, every year, to make it better. But how much time do you invest in planning for the future versus diving right into it? And let me know through the questions panel there on the right side of the screen, guys and gals. Let me know what you did last year to plan out 2016, and how much focused time you actually pulled away to do your planning. Not, okay, I thought about it for 30 minutes here, then a little bit here, then I picked it up a couple weeks later. That's not focused planning. Okay, that's that diagram I showed you guys earlier with the energy going in 4,000 different directions. That's that. Okay, so while you're in planning mode, you need to be the energy with the long up arrow. You need to focus all of your energy into planning mode. And here's what works for me. Okay, this quote from Abraham Lincoln really sums it up. Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I'll spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard that. There's people popping through here that they didn't invest any time last year to make this year great. And if you think of that, guys and gals, how much time do we invest into practicing sports before we play a game? And how much time it could be? Literally, I remember in college we would practice for 2 to 3 hours every single weekday so we could play a 90-minute baseball game. So we would literally practice for 10 hours during a week so we could play a 90-minute game. We won't focus 8 hours on what's going to happen for the rest of the next 365 days of our life. because all of the urgent and non-important stuff jumps ahead of it. And all of that decision fatigue stops us from doing things that are important. So make sure you're sharpening your axe right now. Don't let something jump ahead of it. And I took a screenshot here of our annual planning session. This was the itinerary that we had made for it. And we actually started this, like I said, 2 years ago. And I sat down and said, you know what? What's going to be the best way to really make sure I nail the year? The previous year before that, all I did was focus on what I wanted to do in the next year. Okay, and the year was decent. You know, it wasn't too bad, but there's a lot of things missing. We didn't have the chance to really review what went right, what went wrong this last year. What successes did we have? And I'm going to guide you guys through some of this stuff. Okay, yeah. Roy says planning for 16 that didn't happen. I let it happen to me. That happens to most people, and that's guys and gals. That's all our decision. Okay, that's us getting off of Facebook. That's us stopping reading forums. That's us doing that. That's us having a process and framework, which I'm giving you right now. Okay, so here is literally a screenshot of the agenda that I planned out. It probably took me 2 years ago. It took me about 2 to 3 hours to plan out the whole agenda, just to plan out my planning day. Okay, but now I've got this agenda made. We carry it forward to the next year to see if there's anything we need to adjust for it moving forward. Now, none of this has to make sense for you right now, because I'm going to dive into more detail what we do. Okay, and here's one thing I would highly suggest you do is grab a whiteboard. If your planning session is just you, awesome. Okay, just make it just you. If it's you and someone else, you and your team members, you and your key people, whatever it is, you and your family, you and your spouse, make it the people who are key to making this vision this next year happen. Okay, I know for me, I do a planning retreat. It's a 2-day retreat, like I'm going to show you guys here in a bit. Every year, we do it in October, so we can have everything planned out and ready to go by January 1st. One of the biggest mistakes people make, which kind of is timely for this call, but one of the biggest mistakes people make is that they do their planning too late in the year. Okay, you're doing your planning the last week of December, and we're expecting that to be ready for January 1st. Okay, there's no momentum that we can carry forward there. And that's how I used to always do it. And you know, some of the times I would plan in January for that year that just happened on me, you know. And ever since we switched to, you know what, let's do a late October planning session for next year. That still gives us enough time in that year to tackle some of the things that we are not doing good. Okay, so we can really lead into the next year with momentum, not with a stark, just dead stop. You need to grab a whiteboard, grab pads of paper, grab something where you're going to take notes, have your agenda. So have a specific agenda, and I'm going to give you guys our agenda. Have a specific agenda that you put out there in front of you that you go through, and you block out certain bits of time for each part of the agenda. Okay, and so here's what we do. And I highly suggest that everyone do this. Hold an annual off-site planning retreat. So wherever your office is, get out of your office. Okay. I know whenever I would do it in the office, there's all this distraction. You know, there's phones ringing, there's emails coming in, there's people coming in. Even if they have great intentions, you might be a person coming to visit you. They pop their head in. Hey, just want to say hey. They have a quick 5-minute conversation. That might not seem like a lot, but that's a big deal when it comes to your focus. That's a big deal when it comes to that decision fatigue and focusing on these big things. So get away from your office. Okay. For Carrot, we go somewhere out of town every year. So the first year we went up to Portland, Oregon. We rented an Airbnb house, and we were there for 2 days. And we come out with a plan, very, very clear plan. Okay, and we're excited about it. This year, in October, we went over to Sun River, rented a house, and we were the only ones there. Okay, yours could be a hotel room. Yeah, I've talked to entrepreneurs who literally, they go to this same hotel room every single year to do their planning. Nondescript, it's not sexy, it's not cool. They lock away in that hotel room and do it. Okay, it could be, on the river. It doesn't have to be inside anywhere. Wherever you can get focus, and even better if there's something that can inspire you while doing that. Okay, and the reason I say a 2-day, I used to do, hey, let me block off a half a day, right? What happens if you block off a half a day is you get distracted by the urgent, non-important stuff. And then that half a day becomes 2 hours. That 2 hours becomes broken up focus time where you aren't really focusing. And then you look back and go, oh, check the box. I did my planning. But the problem is that I experienced was I'd check that box and I would get to the next year and realize, man, I sat down and I had time allotted, but I really didn't get clear on what I need to do. So I went up to a day and let's do a day. But the problem I found with the day, guys and gals, is same thing. It's easy if you're not off site, it's easy to have the day run away from you and have other focuses creep in. And also, it doesn't give enough time to celebrate and really pull back and have those ideas you just talked over, digest, come back the next day and reformulate them in an even better way. So we went to a 2-day, and we're not the only ones who do this. You talk to a lot of successful entrepreneurs, they all do 1.5 to 2 day retreats each year for their planning. Some of them do it every quarter. Okay, so ideally hold a 2-day offsite where you go through a process like I'm gonna outline, and those are the best. Those 2 days are the best investment you can possibly make. Don't discount the value of this. It's critical. Block off 2 days. And like I said, one of the important reasons is I'm gonna walk you through what I do in day one. It's very, very strategic on the way we structure it. And then day 2, you're coming back with fresh ideas, fresh energy to finish it out. And there's that decision fatigue that happens, like I talked about before. If we try to cram all this into one day, what do you think is going to happen at the end of day 1? You're going to be tired. Your decision fatigue is going to be worn down. You're going to have all these notes, but nothing formulated into a plan. And then you're going to leave and it's going to be a mess. Okay, so day 1, we always do looking in the rear view mirror activities, then expanding your thinking. And kind of pardon my French on some of this right here, like right here, I call it mind expanding shit. So that's what I call it. But the first day we go, okay, let's review 2016 or review that year, and then we'll dive into mind expanding shit. And for me, that's about a 60-minute time block. Okay, so what do we do when we're doing our review? First of all, how did we do toward our goals, budget versus actual? So if you set a goal, I want to do $100,000 this year, or I wanted to do 20 deals, or I wanted to get to 4 million in revenue, or I wanted to get to 20 million in revenue, or whatever it is. I wanted to finally break even and hit to profitability. What are those things that you budgeted, even if it's a very simple budget, and what are your actuals? So kind of compare ourselves against those goals and take a few minutes. It doesn't have to take any real time. Man, here's what I set out to do, and here's what actually happened. Or if you didn't have a chance to really plan for 2016, you probably did have something in mind for what you kind of wanted to have happen. Make that your budgeted versus what actually happened. Write those down. Here's what I really was wanting to have happen with money, with customer numbers, with this, with that, with X, with Y, with Z, and here's what actually happened. And reflect on that for a little bit. Then you got to celebrate. You got to celebrate the stuff that went great, okay? Because no matter how bad your year was, there were some things that were massively successful for you. Okay, they could even be little things that were successful for you. Man, I got my first deal done. Shoot, I crossed over 100 deals. Shoot, you know, for those of you who are not in real estate investing, we crossed over $2 million in revenue. Let's celebrate that thing, okay? Because oftentimes, us as high achievers, we look on to the next goal without reflecting on what went great up to this point. What got us here? Let's celebrate that. Because as human beings, we need that celebration. We can't keep on going from one goal to the next without pulling back and celebrating it. Okay? So what worked and what didn't? So now we compared our budget versus actual. Let's celebrate those things. And celebration is like, man, it doesn't have to be giving high fives. It could be your version of giving high fives. I know with us, when we were at the house, we looked at our goals from last year. Like, man, that was really cool, guys. We actually came almost exactly on where we planned with our revenue, with our customer numbers. And being transparent, you know, one of our revenue goals anyway, which this isn't our number one goal, but one of our revenue goals was to hit $2 million in revenue this year and really help a ton of clients. And we beat it. So we celebrated that. We smiled like, man, let's internalize that because that's a big deal when you set out to do something big and achieve it. Okay, so what worked? How did we do that? What was it about this year that really was awesome? Write those things down. What didn't work? You know, what frustrations and fail points did we have during the process? I know for us, there were a lot of things that worked. There were a lot of things that didn't work too, that were massive frustrations and fail points. We didn't have team members in certain spots as early as we probably needed them. I didn't delegate well enough at the start of the year, and I'm still really working on it. I took on too many projects and said yes to too many things that I shouldn't have said yes to. Process. We had some really broken processes this year. Okay. There's certain parts of our product that are like, man, we really intended to build this out and we didn't, but we did this instead. Let's celebrate that. Right? No, Roy, this is for one person companies too, man. How do you celebrate if you're the only one? So Roy, this is a really good question. Roy says, this isn't just for multi-person companies, right? How do you celebrate if you're the only one? Man, the way that I celebrated back in the day, but same thing, I didn't do it as well as I should have. The way that I celebrated is you can just sit back and be grateful. Like literally, that's the best form of celebration. Okay, that's the best form of celebration, is to sit back and go, man, you know, there's a lot of things I didn't do this year that I was setting out to be, and I was really hard on myself, but you know what? I am so grateful for these things that we were able to do. You know, I'm so grateful for our health. I'm so grateful for getting that first deal done, even though I was wanting to do 10, so grateful for that first one. You know, just be grateful for it and kind of take stock in your gratitude for that. That is a celebration. Okay, it doesn't have to be a high five here or something like that. That's a celebration. Afterwards, after you get your planning done, go with your spouse, go with your friends. Guys, you know, I've just really got to get this off my chest. You know, there are many reasons why that this last year could have been chalked up as another year or a failure. But you know what? Here's these things I'm so proud of. Would you mind going out? Let's grab a drink, or just give me a high five, give me a hug. I want to give you a hug, or whatever it is. Just embrace the humanity of you achieving what worked. Okay. Yep. So definitely don't overcomplicate it, guys. It's mainly a mental exercise. This is not necessarily a physical outward thing where you got to high five people. Okay. It's being grateful for what you have accomplished. Okay. So you're writing all these things down. Like I said, this section, reviewing and then mind expanding stuff, is about a 60-minute section. How do we do according to our mission and core values? So most of you, my guess is, probably really don't have any written core values. If you're a Carrot customer, we have an entire call on core values and how to create amazing core values that resonate with you at your core, that can just truly excite you, your customers, your community, your team members, if you have team members, your family, about why you're doing what you're doing. Okay. You guys can find our core values. We post them loud and proud everywhere, but you can find ours at oncarrot.com/values. And we review them every year to see if they're still relevant to what we're doing today. And we're actually going to be updating our core values a little bit this year. So those of you who love our core values, we're actually honing them in a little bit more, because we're looking at things now. It's like, you know what? All these still apply, but we think we need to kind of adjust them slightly. So if we don't have core values in our life and our business, it's really hard to grade ourselves to know if we're living the way that we want to and should live. Okay, this is things like, you know, have fun and be different. Different's good. That's for us. Like, we want to make sure that life is fun. It's not drudgery. Business should be fun. Okay, it's not drudgery. Sometimes it gets there, but we got to make sure we reset back to our values. Always genuinely care. That is one of our core values as human beings, and here at Carrot, be beacons of positivity and possibility. That's something I'm always looking at, going, man, how can I help other people see a greater future for themselves? How can we build that into our product? How can we build it into messages like this? That most of the people on this call, guys and gals, are not going to ever buy Carrot, because you're probably not real estate investors. But we marketed this call to everyone because we really want to be that beacon of positivity and possibility. Okay, so if you have not taken time to come up with your core values, one of the things that you should be jotting down as a 2017 activity for January is to come up with the first draft of your core values, knowing that it's going to change, it's going to iterate. Don't beat yourself up over it. Okay, so that should be done in January if you don't have them. Okay, and what are our potential points of failure? This is one that we added this last year because we didn't think about this the previous years. Okay, we can be planning the best thing in the world and all these awesome ideas and this and that, but if we don't pull back and go, man, even if all those things go awesome, is there anything in my business that could take my entire business down? You know, are there any Achilles heels in your business that could take your whole business down? Do you have one lead generation source that's just crushing it for you right now? But if that goes down, your whole business goes down. Do you have one market, one real estate market, and one type of focus, so that that market changes, your whole business can go down until you pivot? If you're a technology company like us, are there any technology things that, if they happen, could literally make your business go down? You write all those things that just scare you to your core, that like the likelihood of those things happening are probably small, but we don't want to gamble with the things that can kill our business. Okay, and there are those silver bullets out there that could literally kill your business if one of those happens. You get sued. How do you protect against that? You go out there and get your E&O insurance. You go out there and do this and do that. So you write down all of those things that could kill your business. Being sued for X, If you're a technology company, your entire technology stack going down, someone hacking it and doing this and doing that. So you start to look at all those things and go, okay, so if that could bring our business down, these are things we need to tackle ASAP. Like these are high priority things in January that we need to jot down. If you're worried about getting sued and having that take your business down, your first call, guys and gals, should be to an insurance broker. Okay. If you are hustling, you're the only income for your family, and your business, I mean, let's say if you were to pass away, your family would be donezo because they couldn't take over your business and do this and that. What should your first call be, guys and gals? It should be to your insurance broker to get life insurance so your family's protected. Okay, so what are those big points of failure? So you can get those off of your mind. Because if those big things are off of your mind, you can focus on that day-to-day better. Okay, and for us, we wrote about 6 or 7 things that could literally take our business down or our families down. And we're like, all right, these things, we need to tackle these right away, because no matter how great our content marketing is, how good our planning is, if one of these happens, none of that matters, right? None of that matters. You're a real estate agent. What happens if something happens to your license? What happens if this happens, if that? I don't know. What happens if you lose your job? How do you protect against that failure? You got to plan those out and tackle those in January. So once you've done your review and have a good half a sheet of stuff down or a full sheet of stuff, for us, the review is probably a 15, 20, 30-minute thing. So we're not talking hours and hours here, guys and gals. Go through those questions, internalize them, write them down, look at them, read them again, see if there's anything you missed. Okay, the next thing is we want to expand our mind. So we just looked in the rearview mirror. Now we want to go, oh my gosh, okay, here's things we did great. Here's things we didn't do so good. We celebrated the wins. Here's things that could kill us. Now, you know what? I'm going to make myself think bigger. And one thing I like to do in that is called the 10X exercise. And the 10X exercise is not something I invented, but it's something we've been using for the past 3 or 4 years. Is oftentimes when we look at our businesses for the next year, we usually miss the things that we really absolutely need to put in place in order to grow our business. So we say, hey, I want to get to X million in revenue or X thousand in revenue, but we don't really pull backwards and go, oh my gosh, so in order to get to 5 million in revenue, what does our team have to look like? Or in order to get to do 10 deals this year or 50 deals this year, man, what is my process and team going to have to look like, to do that? And what we do is we do the 10X exercise. So if we're looking to do, let's say, or if we did, let's say $2 million in revenue, we go, oh my gosh, so what would our business have to be like in order, if magically next year we did 20 million in revenue, which we won't, and that's not our goal, because that we would kill ourselves to get there. Okay. So your goal isn't to say, hey, how do we grow 10X next year? It's to say, what does my business have to look like if that were to happen? Then you peel back and you go, and then you can really see those weaknesses in your business. Okay. So for us, we're going, okay, 10X, if we were doing 20 million in revenue and we had 20,000 customers, let's say, okay, what would the business look like? Man, if we had 20,000 customers, we would have to massively ramp up our customer support division, right? We would have to really massively ramp up our technology stack to house 100,000, 200,000 plus websites, okay? We would really have to probably get some HR, some human resources stuff in place. And so then we start to roll back and go, okay, so what of this is relevant that we should probably put in our to-do list for 2017? Well, man, we really need to plan out the technology stack and make sure it's scalable now, so we don't hit a point where it's broken. We're always planning ahead on it. Man, we really need to probably hire another customer support person here in the next 3 or 4 months, even though we don't need them right now, so we can plan for that growth so support and our clients are never hurting, okay? So what's your version of the 10X exercise? Someone throw through the questions panel right now what your big revenue goal is, let's say, or deal number goal is. And we'll kind of work backwards here a little bit on the 10X exercise if anyone wants to kind of jump out there and put your neck out there and be a part of this process. Okay. Let's see if anyone's brave enough to do it. We have hundreds of people on here, guys and gals. So hopefully there's some brave people in here. Lots of questions coming in, but I think some people kind of definitely, you don't want to ask these questions because sometimes you're afraid of what the answer is, right? So if you, awesome. So 75 deals for 2017, beautiful. So assuming this, so that's your goal. So what if you had to do, what would your business look like if you did 750 deals? And I'm not saying next year, Okay, what would your business look like if you did 750 deals in a year? And that year could be 5 years out, 10 years out. So you would definitely have to have people, you'd have to have help, right? So you would probably have to have some sort of a deal acquisition and negotiation person, because there'd be so many deals happening. There would have to be multiple people out there negotiating. So how would you get that in place? Well, shoot, you'd have to have a system so you could train those people. So jot that down, that you need to create a system that is your system for teaching people how to negotiate deals, how to meet with sellers. So that's one of your 2017 activities for sure that you have to do. Scale past yourself, you've got to have a system. So that's something you've got to nail. Marketing. Okay, how are you going to get 750 deals? Man, you really got to ramp up your marketing. So if you're focusing on just one marketing activity right now and it's working for you, you're probably gonna have to really start looking at either ramping that marketing activity up, ramping your budget up, probably by a lot, or adding on different types of marketing. So plan that for your first quarter, is to experiment and test other types of core ways to drive leads to your business. Because if you're living off of one lead source, if that lead source goes away, you're out of business. So add on that second lead source. People-wise, you're gonna have to be a way better leader. If you're gonna be doing 75 deals or 750 deals, it's probably not gonna be just you, which means you're gonna need to be a better leader. So what should you tackle to become a better leader in the first quarter, second quarter of 2017? You should probably maybe get a mentor who's really good in leadership. Read some books. I can give you some amazing books. Even just tell me your address, I'll mail it to you, to dive into leadership. And you should probably also start to have some sort of a structure where you're talking with someone weekly that is a mentor or a business partner or someone like that, so you guys can digest and bounce ideas back and forth to increase your leadership lid. Okay, and I can keep on going on and on. There's a lot of things you should look at, but that's the way we look at it. And we're going, man, so here's some things we definitely need to fit into our plan, because we do plan on growing and we need to make sure these things don't catch us by surprise. All right, and then you pull back and you reset to what your actual goal is going to be. I know our actual goal is to double our business this year. It's not to get to 20 million, because that would kill you, literally, probably. But that exercise helps you think about what you need to nail and fix structure-wise. One of the big ones for us was process, guys and gals. If we're going to get to, let's say 20,000 customers, our processes would have to be completely better and different, like night and day. Right now, we have some processes that are good, but we have a lot of broken processes, and we jotted that down immediately. We're like, man, we've got to nail our processes. We've got to nail our processes so it all doesn't rely on one or two people. And so that's one of our big things in our 2017 roadmap, is identifying the processes that are holding us back the most. And then we're going to create those. Okay. So that's day one. So, in that, we're really talking, that's, 1, 2, 3, 4 hours maybe. Okay. Sometimes what we'll do too is sometimes we'll fit in this part in day one, but day one for me is a half day. Okay. That's really a half day, because what I want to do is you want to dive into that exciting stuff, expand your mind, go out and enjoy things, go out and enjoy your life. Okay. If you're on a retreat somewhere, go fishing. Or if you're, what we did, since I had 2 of my team members there, is we just cut out early and we're like, let's go to lunch. Let's go to lunch. Let's go hang out. Let's go grab some beer. Let's go to a brewery and hang out. Let's talk. What happens is those ideas that you just iterated start rehashing in your mind, and they become better, more clear, and bigger. Okay. So as soon as you're after that mind expanding stuff, pull away, recharge, and go do something fun that you enjoy. It could be reading a book. It could be going fishing. It could be doing X, doing Y, doing Z, whatever. Let that marinate in your mind. Get a great night's sleep. Wake up the next day. And this day is all focused on planning. Okay. So the first thing we want to do, and you don't have to remember all this. Like I said, you're going to get the slides. We're going to give you a template. Is we want to focus on our products and vision, your product vision and goals for the next year. Write down, what problem are we trying to solve? So if you're a real estate investor and you're all over the map trying to do 20 different strategies, can you identify exactly what problem you're solving in your company for people? If it takes you 20 minutes to explain it, you're probably way too scattered. But if you can say, you know what, the problem we're trying to solve is too many home sellers don't have a good solution to sell their house fast without paying a bunch of fees to agents and hassling with bank buyers. It's like, that's the problem we're trying to solve, is really make their life easier so they can move on. Awesome. Write that down. So you make sure that your whole product that you're offering, your service that you're offering is based around that problem and solving that problem. But if you say, man, we help people solve real estate issues. Okay, what does that mean? Is it Sellers, is it buyers? Is it tenants? Is it appraisers? Is it, what is it? Be very specific with the problem you're trying to solve. And this is just to remind you about it, okay? The next thing, what do we want to be known for? Now, I know a lot of you guys who are one-person shops, you guys might be looking at this going, oh my gosh, this is so far high level, way more than I need to be in. And I'd like to challenge you on that. I think probably the reason that you're in the position that you're in is because we haven't thought through these structured ways. I was in the same spot, right? I discounted the value of going through and doing this. I'm like, man, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to rush through it, and I'm going to get to actually going out there and marketing or something like that. But as soon as we started doing this, happiness skyrocketed, income skyrocketed, amount of free time went way up. I took a month off this year in July. I took the whole month off, and our business grew. It doesn't happen without doing this and being intentional. Now, could I have done that in the first year? Heck no. Okay, but I never would have got there unless I would have been doing this planning. What do you want to be known for? You know, us at Carrot, we want to be known for high performance. We want people to immediately associate Carrot in that orange color with the highest performing websites and online marketing platform in the industry for all of real estate. We want to be known for performance. We want to be known for amazing experiences, you know, where people have an experience with us and they walk away and it's like, man, I'd never had an experience like that before with customer service. Okay, I'd never had an experience where a company actually cared about me that much. So what do you want to be known for? Now, what bottlenecks are in your way? What bottlenecks are in your way right now? Okay, this is one of the most important things, guys and gals. One thing that I did, and too many people do this as well, is you'll plan out the stuff that you need to do, but you won't write down the things that are getting in your way of making that happen. And as soon as we started planning out and identifying the bottlenecks that were actually stopping us from getting there, we started to really catch momentum in our business. So as an example, for me, we really do a lot of content marketing. We train our clients how to do content marketing, but there's always a bottleneck in your time. So if we wanted to make our content marketing even better and more amazing, we're sitting there looking at that going, man, so in order to do X with our content marketing, what's holding us back? And we're like, okay, well, shoot, Trevor's time, first of all, because he can't continue to take on this in addition to other things. Other bottlenecks are our team. We need a content editor. We need someone to go through and optimize the posts for SEO according to our process. We need more ideas. So like there's another bottleneck is that really, really good ideas based on research. And we came up with these bottlenecks like, okay, if we really want to get great at content marketing and own content marketing this next year, which is what one of our missions was for 2016, we're like, here's these bottlenecks. So what did we do? We went out and hired a couple people, not employees. One of them was a contractor, independent contractor, which anyone on this call can do that no matter your budget. Another one was an employee. A couple of them were getting some systems in place, getting stuff out of my mind so other people could actually implement it so I wasn't stuck. And then bam, those bottlenecks were unleashed. So now we actually now do twice the content we did in 2015 per month. And it takes half the effort because we identified the bottlenecks, we solved them in January, February, March, and then let that process improve from there. Okay. And then finish it with writing down, okay, what are your top 3 priorities with your product or service? So you guys might be on the real estate side looking at it going, okay, so my top 3 priorities are the market is shifting in San Antonio. I need to really dive in and do some research and add on a second niche in the San Antonio market that I can focus on. Because that might be a top priority is, you know, what else can we tack on to it? Or it might be, you know what, with our product, I really want to build out our website better so our clients can understand the process better. Okay, are there any bottlenecks? Well, shoot, I don't have the time to do it. I don't know how to do it. Awesome, go solve those bottlenecks. With that particular solution, you reach out to Carrot and say, hey, here's where I want to go. Can you guys do it for me? We'll release that bottleneck for you. We'll do it for you. All righty? So once you kind of planned out that, then we go, okay, that's with your existing business. Okay, what already exists in your business? Then we go, okay, so that's kind of making our existing business better, the stuff that's already bringing us in money. Is there anything else that we can or should add on to this that's not core to that primary thing, but makes a lot of sense for us to add, that we have bandwidth to add, that is not going to make us way too busy, that is actually going to stack on and amplify our core business? And for us, those are things like new training courses to help our clients get more traffic to their sites. It could be we're adding more services to our marketplace for people who just don't want to do any of the work and have us all do it for you. That's adding on, we're rolling out what we call a preferred partner program in 2017, where people who are really good at the skill of using Carrot and driving traffic and SEO can apply to the partner program, be trained by us, and go out there and do that same thing for other Carrot clients. So those are new product offerings we're doing, but you can tell each one of those product offerings amplifies and builds on our core product. So we're not saying new product offerings as in, hey, let's create a software now that helps you manage your day. No, that's something completely different. That gets back into that mindset where I showed you before, where you're having all these focus points go out in different directions. Okay, so with Willis here in Roseburg, he owns an employment agency. So what other products and new offerings can you bolt on that will build more value for the clients you already have? And that makes sense just to bolt right on there and grow your revenue. Are there any gaps in your current offers? Are there any opportunities in the market right now? Write those down and decide if you want to tackle them. Okay. So once we've gone through, reviewed things, we're really excited about expanding our mindset. We pulled it back into kind of some goals for the year for maybe here's where I want to get to with revenue wise. Here I want to get to with deal numbers wise. Write those down. Those are your big goal there. And then we've worked in, okay, how are we going to get there with our current product? How are we going to get there with new product offerings maybe? Then we go, okay, are there any gaps or people or needle movers on the people side of things we need to plug in here to make it work? So if you're a one-man shop or one-woman shop and you're like, man, I don't have money to hire people. Well, you definitely do have money to hire help. Okay, you don't have to, it doesn't have to be an employee per se, but I know the first person that ever helped me was a virtual assistant. She lived in New York City, and I paid her about 12, 14, 15 bucks an hour back then. Just to do a bunch of stuff for me. Now, did I have the money to do it? Guys and gals, that $300 or $400 a month was a lot of money for me. Years 5, 6, 7 years ago. This is actually in 2008, so 8 years ago. That was a lot of money for me. Okay, I didn't just have $200, $300, $400, $500 to just toss away, but I realized that I could not do this all myself. So I went, okay, let me create a couple processes here, and let me find someone who's capable to implement that process for me, so I can go over and do X. So if adding a person is a virtual assistant for you in this phase of your business, awesome, do that. And then carve out what budget you have and then the most important things for them to do. Okay, it might be $100 a month, $200, $500 a month, whatever. Then as you go, make sure you identify the spots where you should not be spending the time doing those things, or you hire someone to do it. And that's one of the biggest mindset shifts I've had to make myself over the past 3 years is hiring people. One question we ask now is if we could hire our dream person, probably knowing we can't get them, but hypothetically, if we could hire your dream person, let's say you're the most amazing marketer in the world, would that person in that role that you think you need to fill, would they help 10x the business or reach whatever your goal is if you put them in place? And the reason I'm saying this is if they're someone who is that key, they're that big of a needle mover, okay? If that person, if you're like thinking about it, it's like, yeah, if I could get that person in place, they're an amazing marketer, they're an amazing negotiator, or man, they just do this really, really well, or they're a whatever it is, whatever that role is, could they 10x the business? Any of them that you could mentally go, yeah, I think that person could probably 10x the business over a period of 2 or 3 years. You probably need to start to set the stage to try to find and hire that person as soon as you're financially able. Okay. For us, we're looking at it on the technology and marketing side. We're like, man, the right marketer totally could 10x our business over the next 3, 4, 5, 6 years because I am becoming a bottleneck in it, and we don't have another high-level marketer on the team other than myself at the moment. Okay. The next thing that we ask on people, and I know this is getting pretty detailed, guys. Some of you guys are going, oh my gosh, this is way over my head. So pick and choose what works best for you. Trim this down to a day if you have to. Make it way simple. But if you don't go through and ask yourself these questions, you're gonna have a really tough time making 2017 a success, okay? You're just gonna be looking back at the end of this year and go, man, there's another year that passed by, another opportunity lost, another year gone, another year closer to what my ultimate end is, and I didn't make any progress, okay? The only reason you're gonna be there next year is if you don't do these things. So then that last question we ask is, how can we inspire our people more next year? So this is more applicable to people who have teams, virtual assistants, employees, whatever. We just added this one this year because as the team is growing, we're like, man, no longer are all these things that we're planning just applicable to us. We've got to really inspire our team and make a great reason for them to keep coming back and working with us. you know? So we actually are putting in our roadmap very intentionally how we can inspire our team even more next year. You know, how can we make their life better? Because if we make their life better, they're going to make our customers' lives way better. And then last, I think this is last, is processes. Okay, so we've gone through all this stuff here, and you sit back and go, okay, are there any bottlenecks? Are there any bottlenecks that would prevent me or us from achieving this? And a bottleneck is basically something that is stopping you or in your way of achieving that thing. It could be, man, I don't have the time, okay? And you look back and go, well, my time is a bottleneck. So we need to, if my time is a bottleneck, where is it the biggest bottleneck? Is it in marketing, so you don't really have the time to market? Is it in negotiation if you're a real estate investor? Is it in learning? Is it in, you know, whatever it is? Where are those bottlenecks? Where do you feel the most pain in your business right now? If it's answering phone calls and you're getting a lot of phone calls from your leads, but you're the only one answering them, your biggest bottleneck right now in your revenue is answering that phone. So you probably need to get someone in place ASAP to answer the phone as soon as they come in. Fill that bottleneck. You know, you can hire an outsourcing company that a call service that does that. Okay, that was one of the bottlenecks for us. And we're like, you know what? We want to get to real phone support soon. You can get on the phone with our team, but we're like, as a bottleneck blocker, or as a bottleneck to resolve this current bottleneck, we're going to get an amazing company to help us with the phone stuff. Okay, and then we'll start to build out our own internal big phone team here in the office as we go. Right? So what are those bottlenecks? Because if we plan all this stuff and we haven't taken care of the bottlenecks are going to be what breaks us. The bottlenecks are going to be what stop us from achieving what we're setting out to achieve this next year. And we continually, I mean, it's like on a weekly basis, every single week on our Monday and Friday calls with their team, we say, hey guys, you know, what successes did you have and what questions or bottlenecks did you experience this week? And they'll come and say, hey Trevor, you know, I passed this over to you earlier. My biggest bottleneck is honestly you. I really need you to get this done. And then I look at it and go, shoot, what's my bottleneck in getting this done? Maybe I should outsource it to someone else or find someone else to do it or empower a team member to do it. Or I just need to carve away time to do it. Okay, so we do it every week because new bottlenecks pop up. And if we're not asking ourselves, if we're a one-person shop or our teams on a consistent basis, usually weekly, hey, you know, is there anything that popped up that is a bottleneck from us achieving what we set out to do, something that's stopping us or something that's making it harder? Write those down, and those are the first things we need to tackle because we can't get momentum without taking care of the bottlenecks. Okay, and like I said, what processes need to be in place for us to succeed and build the business we'll enjoy? And for a real estate investor, if we're looking at this, it's like, well, the things that you need to put in place, you absolutely need to have marketing systems in place. So you have consistency, you have predictability in your lead generation. You have to have that in place. If that's not in place, you need to educate yourself or hire someone to get you on that path of making that happen. We can help you on the online side. But that's a bottleneck you've got to take care of. If you're getting so many calls that you can't handle them, a bottleneck is you've got to have people answering those phone calls. Okay, if a bottleneck is your time to drive around and inspect houses, maybe you should write down the process and how you inspect houses so you know if it's a good house or not. Write it down, make it a piece of paper, and then pay someone $50 or $100 or whatever it costs to inspect that house the way you want it done and send you a report. That's releasing a bottleneck so you can do more. Okay? And then the biggest thing we wrap it up with is we ask why. And this is something that we added this last year, you know, because it's really easy, guys and gals, to get stuck in the mindset and in the process of continually wanting more, right? More money, more revenue, more customers, more things, more cars, more houses, more trips, more vacations, more of what my neighbor has, less of what I, you know, all that kind of stuff. We're always for some reason wired to want something we don't have. Okay, so one trap that I was falling into is I was falling into the growth trap, right? Where we feel like we always have to be growing our revenue, growing things. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing at all, but what I am saying is a bad thing is if we're growing just to grow, because that's where we fall into traps where we're unhappy. That's where we fall into traps where we're not. You start doing other things because you're bored. That's where you fall into traps where you lose your meaning and purpose in life, I feel. And if your happiness and meaning and purpose is tied to a number, if it's tied to a number, you are bound and destined to be unhappy. Okay. If your happiness for 2017 is tied to a revenue number, it's like, man, once I hit that number, things will be set. I can guarantee you, once you hit that number, if you do, you're not going to be happy because you're going to have a new higher number ahead of it. So how do I combat this? Is as we're going through that planning session and we challenge ourselves and, hey, what do we want to do on the marketing side? What do we want to do on that growth side? And how are we going to market that business? Okay, what are our goals going to be? Do we want to hit 75 deals? Do we want to hit 65? Do you want to do 300,000 in revenue? Do you want to do $1 million in revenue? Do you want to do your first deal or first 10 deals? You've got to write that down, but then ask yourself why. Why does it matter that we hit that number? For us with Carrot, I know when we started Carrot, guys and gals, honestly, we didn't have an intention to become a business that did multiple millions in revenue. We just wanted to go out there and solve a problem that we saw people were really having a big problem with. We wanted to do it better than anyone else. We wanted to have fun doing it. And I guess when you do those things right, and you really care about people, that the business starts to grow. And so my first intent was like, man, if we can just get to a really good income for myself and everyone on the team and kind of pull back and just, have a good kind of lifestyle business, that's cool. That's cool. But what happened was once we kind of blew past those numbers and blew past the 10,000 and 50,000 and whatever thousand a month it was, once you blow past those numbers, you start to chase numbers. And so this year we went, you know what? I really feel with our current growth and with our plans and with the mission we have in this world to amplify leaders and to help unleash your potential so you spend less time hassling with things that you're not good at tech and marketing wise, more time making your impact. I really feel that we need to grow to make that bigger impact. So for us, we're like, okay, why should we grow? Well, we should grow because we really do truly have a mission. That the more people we're able to reach, the more customers that use our software on a daily basis, the more people hop on these calls, the more people we're going to impact and the bigger ripple we're going to leave in this world. That's one really big reason why we should grow rather than staying stagnant. And at our core, like we truly believe in that we are not here just to help our clients generate leads. We're truly here to help people change the way that they think about business, that they do business, and that they use business to make impact in their world, no matter what business you're in. So for us, we've got to grow, right? So then we ask another question. It's like, well, so what number? Why 4 million? And we're looking at it and go, well, because this year we're already probably going to hit this number anyway, just doing what we're doing. And we're going to be adding these products and doing this and doing that and really helping to cater toward these amazing clients even better and build more value for them. And so I think if we do all this stuff, we're probably going to hit 4, and then we sat back and it's like, well, why? Why should we? Does that matter? Is there a why beyond the number? And we really at our course, like, we thought about it for 5, 10, 15 minutes, talked over. It's like, you know what? That's the number. We really do have a reason why. Because if we get there, we're probably gonna have another 1,000 customers, 1,500 customers that we're helping, that we're spreading this message, that we're helping them remove their tech and marketing hassle so you can do more of what makes your heart sing, so you can grow your business, so you can make your bigger impact. We're like, man, that number's it. There's a why that hits us there. So if you don't have a why for you on that 75 deals for 2017, whoever put that in, if you don't have a concrete why that hits you at your core that's beyond revenue, that's beyond numbers, you really need to come up with that. If you have a day job still and your why could literally be, you know what? Why? Because at that point, working these numbers, I'm able to quit my job. I'm able to hire 1 or 2 amazing people. I'm able to create the job of my dreams, and I'm able to invest more time in my community, my family. That could be your why. Get excited about that why. Okay. If your why could even be, hey, why should we not grow this year? Okay. And here's a really good example. I was talking with Chris Clothier, a good friend of mine, but also one of the biggest real estate investors in the country. He owns a company called Memphis Invest. And we just rolled out a podcast with Chris actually today. So go check it out at oncarrot.com/blog. And we talk about how they started their business, how they grew it from one deal to doing, selling over 650 houses a year now, doing over 100 million in revenue. And I was in a mastermind with him this last year. And one thing that kind of jumped out to me that hit me, he's like, man, so really our aim for 2016 was to not grow. Like our aim was to do exactly what we did, last year. And I'm thinking like, why? He goes, because we could grow a lot more if we wanted to. I'm like, so why not? Like, why not do it? And he goes, you know what? The reason is because we needed to keep our current business Like we need to shore up the house, right? We don't want to add more fuel to the fire and grow even faster and potentially break processes and systems and wear out people. He's like, we would rather have this year be a building year. We're going to keep it at this current revenue. And then next year, when we have built those processes, built even more amazing leaders on our team, went into some new markets, then we're going to challenge ourselves. So have a why behind your revenue number that excites you. All right. And then we're going to finish it with this. And this ties it all up from all that stuff that you just went through. Then write down, okay, in order to do all this stuff, I really believe in our why. I've got our number. I've got our the revenue number, the deal number, whatever it is. What are the 1, 2, 3, 4 things that I've really got to do in 2017? Like, these are not optional. What are the 1, 2, 3, 4 things that I have to do and have to make core competencies for me or for my business this next year? Just list them. And they've got to go at the top of your goals. Those things are kind of going to be kind of like theme things for you. They're going to help you set your theme for the year, theme for your quarters. Okay. I know for us, we cannot succeed and help our clients succeed unless we fully focus on performance on our websites and in our software. So like, we've got to commit and recommit and recommit and recommit every quarter to making sure that we're focusing resources and energy toward split testing, toward this and that, to help our clients' websites perform at a much higher level than the industry average. If we don't, we'll fail. Another thing we've got to really commit to is growing leadership and leaders within our organization. It's like, there's no way we're going to grow and help as many clients as we want to help if we don't have more leaders being fostered in this organization, because it can't all come back on me. So that's one of the 4 things that we've got to focus a lot of energy and time into. Okay, and there's 2 or 3, there's 2 others. So those for me help to kind of give me the broad strokes of that planning session that I just did. You come out of that with those 1, 2, 3, 4 things. You've got to nail these. Those go at the top of your goal sheet. And what we do now is you take all those notes, you go away, you get away from that day, you go back into your daily work, and then plan out a solid another day or so in your schedule, about a week after that. And go, okay, let me dive into my notes now and put it onto whatever version works for you. We use something, I'm going to show you a picture here in a little bit. We use something called a roadmap. And it just says, hey, here's these parts of our business. Here's the things we want to accomplish in 2017. Bam, we put them on our wall, okay? And that's the most important part of this whole process, is just going through it is really powerful. But if you don't spend that day or half a day to then take all of your notes and compile it into, okay, here's the 5 initiatives or projects that we need to take on this year. Here's something I really need to get way better at. Someone just put in here, do you have a few RE mentors you recommend? That might literally be one of your core things. Get a mentor I trust and know and follow them. That could be one of your core things for this next year. Okay, and that goes into your list. And then once you have your list of things you absolutely need to do this next year, then you prioritize them. Hey, what's most important? What should I tackle first? The things that could potentially kill your business or your family, like, those are the things you should tackle first. Get that life insurance policy. Okay, get the insurance policy for your business, the errors and omissions if you're doing a bunch of deals, so someone doesn't sue you and take you out of business. Okay, do those things that are going to protect you there. Get those done immediately, and then start shifting over into the businessy stuff. All right, and I know I kind of bulldoze y'all with a lot of stuff there. Okay, and there's a few more things here. And like I said, this recording will be up. We've got some templates that we've got on that page. We're going to be adding more here in a bit. And what I'm going to do is, for those of you who are going to hang on to the call toward the end, I've got 3 books I'm going to be giving away, and only people who are on this call live at the end of the call are going to have a chance to get one of these 3 books. One of them is called Ambition Leading with Gratitude. It's one of my favorite books of this year. It's actually by a friend and mentor of mine who works here in the Loft, my entrepreneur co-workspace. He's built multiple companies in the tens of millions in revenue, and wrote a book that is amazing, that helps me really reset my mind on what's important in life as a high achieving entrepreneur. And it can change your life. So we're going to give 2 of those away, actually. And we're going to give another one away that's called The 5 Major Pieces of the Life Puzzle by Jim Rohn. Quick, simple read. This is a read that I try to read almost every year. Didn't quite get it this year, but I want to read it before the end of the year. You could probably literally read it in an hour or 2, and it can completely change your mindset on how you should live your life in 2017. So for those people hanging on here toward the end of the call, we're going to be giving away these 3 books. You got to be on the end of the call to get that, but I've got 2 more quick sessions for you, like I said. Okay, I'm actually going to go by these ones kind of quicker. Okay, but one thing that I suggest everyone do while you're doing your planning session. So if you're a one person shop, you might not need 2 full days. You might need a good solid half a day or a day. Okay, but take a part of that day and actually plan out your personal stuff as well. And use that time to plan out your personal stuff as well. Okay, so jot down your intentions and your goals for health, business, relationships, education, financial, paying it forward, spiritual, pleasure, leisure. And we've got a worksheet that I call the Dreams Now worksheet on this page that you can download that'll guide you down that. It usually takes me, an hour and a half to go through that each year and kind of get my intentions on those important parts of my life that I want to improve, write them down, and then take those and put them into your kind of action items for 2017. Like I said, especially if you're just a one person shop, a lot of your plan is probably going to be this, probably less of the business stuff. For me, because we have 10 employees now and we're growing fast, we needed a solid day and a half to 2 days on business stuff because we've got some big differences we're wanting to make in this world. And we're going to make the most of this next year, and we need 2 days to make the most of the next 365. Okay. But you guys might not need that full time. So maybe invest some of that time in creating your personal vision for the year. If you were to look back in 12 months personally at the year that passed, what would have had to happen in order for you to feel that year was a success? Okay. And I want to hear from a couple people on this call. If you were to look back in 12 months at the end of 2017, at that year that had just passed, what would have had to happen that year in order for you to feel that it was a success? Okay, let me know through the questions panel if you're brave enough to jot that through, guys and gals. And for me, I will literally ask that question. I'll sit there and close my eyes for a couple minutes and go, okay, let me picture myself next year. Let me picture myself smiling. Let me picture myself in that environment that I'm in, that I'm happy and I feel like I'm content, and man, I feel like life is amazing. At that point, that's where I want to be in a year, right? And then go, okay, what would have had to happen family-wise in order for me to feel that and be there at that point? And write that stuff down. What would have had to happen financially for me or business-wise for me to really be in that feeling, be in that state at that point in my life? Write those things down. What would have had to happen health-wise and things like that? Write those things down. Those are the exact things you need to do, okay? So this person says, I hired a full-time person to replace me so I can focus on other important growth areas for my company. Amazing. Amazing. So ask yourself this question. This question could be the most important question you ask of this entire presentation of yourself. And close your eyes and think through that. Really put yourself in that emotional and mental state of you being happy and fulfilled and achieved and impactful a year from now. What would have had to happen that year to get that? Okay. And here's that worksheet. You can check it out, guys and gals. You can kind of put in your intentions or goals for the next year in these different sections. I kind of like to go through and rate them 1 to 10. 10 is the most important, 1 is the least important. So then you can really focus on how you should do them. And then that second sheet, you take the most important ones, like the 3, 4, 5, 6 ones, or 2 or 3 or 4, or whatever that are the most important 10s or whatever. Move them over to that second sheet. And then create action steps and due dates on them. Okay, so this will help you get going on that plan for your first quarter of 2017. Okay, this will be a little jump start for you. All right, and I actually created this from scratch in 2007, guys and gals. I was going through a period of my life where I was confused. I didn't exactly know what I was going to do in business. I wasn't making hardly any money in 2006 or 7. I had some passive income coming in from real estate. We're doing some consulting, but it was all just like really random and not consistent. And I just sat down one day. I'm like, you know what? I couldn't find a worksheet that worked for me, so I made one on Microsoft Word. And I just went, man, I'm just going to do this. And I took that thing and I plastered it to my wall in our apartment up in Portland, Oregon at that time. And usually I would have put my goals in my drawer, right? Usually I would have put my goals in my drawer. This time I was serious. I'm like, I am not okay with living another year not making progress in these important things in life. It's not okay. Because I'm not going to be here forever. My family's not going to be here forever. And I can't wallow in this just complacency and being busy, not getting things done that matter. So I took it, I taped that thing into our living room wall. So I had to see it every day. My wife saw it. Friends who came over saw it. Some of them joked with me and kind of messed with me and made fun of me for having goals on the wall. And there were even a couple times where I thought, man, I'm going to take him down because I have friends coming over. I don't want them to like mess with me and kind of joke with me because we didn't have much money at that time. And you know what? I kept it up. And the funny thing happens is when you see that stuff every day, even if you're not internalizing it, it starts to happen. Okay, I got frustrated about April or May that next year. I took it off the wall. I put it in my drawer. Okay, I put it in my drawer, guys and gals, on my nightstand. And I forgot about it. I'm like, you know what? I'm frustrated. I was way behind the due dates on most of those major goals. And it's like, it was demotivating to see that to me. And I took that and I put it in my drawer and I just went to work, you know, and I went to work that year. And we ended up moving down here to Roseburg, Oregon. And I remember during our move, I opened up that drawer, you know, probably about 6 months after we had moved, because I was, like I said, a really messy person at the time. I'm way cleaner now, but still have some issues to work through there. My office, I'm looking at my office right now. It's not as clean as it should be, that's for sure. It's a mess. But I opened that drawer and I saw this crumpled piece of paper. And I'm like, man, is that that goal sheet from a year and a half ago or whatever it was? And I opened it up. And the cool thing, guys and gals, is I started to read through those goals. And I'm like, oh, man, that one I achieved. That one I achieved. That one, man, that one I'm way past. Geez, that one too, that one too, that one too. There were some that I definitely did not come close to, some that weren't even priorities for me anymore. But the reason that that's so important is as soon as we write these things down, internalize them, and slap them on a wall so we see them all the time, and other people see them, and you start to believe them, and you're confident in them, and you don't give a crap if other people see them because you're so confident that, you know, I don't care if I hit it on those dates. I really want to hit it on those dates, but I am intentional that I am going to achieve those things in my life because they're going to make my life and other people's lives around me better. And if you don't believe it, awesome. That's your own problem, not mine. Right? So post that thing publicly. I've got my life list physically in my office. Anyone can come and look at it. I've got my life list on my website. Okay? So if you go to my personal website right here, these are things I'm so passionate about, being public with the things you set out to do, because we make it way too easy to fail on ourselves. We don't want to fail other people. We're scared about failing other people. Failing ourselves, for some reason, we make that way too easy on ourselves, and that's not good. We should be the first people that we should not want to fail, right? So I went in here and I'm like, you know what? I want to put my darn life list on here. So I put it on here, inspired from a friend of mine, Sean Ogle, who did it, and I saw it. And it's just a way that I hold myself accountable, and other people kind of see some things that I would love to do. And some of these are very trivial. Many of these are impactful. Some of them are just fun and be kind of cool to check off and go, man, I did that. You know, but it's really cool seeing when you post stuff up online or post it somewhere that things start to happen. One short story on that that really made me believe it in a big way. It was the first time I ever wrote a life list, was at the end of 2009, start of 2010. And I sat down and wrote the life list. And I'm actually going to show, I'm going to stop presenting for really quick here. See if you guys can see me. Oops, 1 second. Present to everyone. Stop screen sharing. There we go. Okay. If you guys can see me here. Where'd it go? It's actually in my bag. Where's that? I didn't prep for this. My life list is in my bookshelf back there. I took it on our planning session actually this October. And that life list, I sat down on a piece of paper and just started writing things I wanted to do, achieve, experience, be, impact in my life, right? Travel to, things like that. And trivial stuff, big stuff, all that stuff. And I wrote the thing down. One of the things I put on there was this one right here on my screen. I'm going to share the screen with y'all again. Was this one on the screen that says skydive over a tropical ocean. I hate heights. Like, I am afraid of heights. I don't like heights. I don't know why I wrote that down. I think it was one that I thought would be cool for me to write down or something like that. And so I guess this is at the end of 2010, I wrote that life list. And I put the intention out there. I get an email about 3 weeks later from a friend of mine I hadn't talked to in a while. And he's like, hey, I've got this mastermind that a buddy of mine's holding in Florida. Do you want to go? I'm like, oh, man, I looked at the roster of people as such amazing entrepreneurs. There were people who had sold their companies to Google for $80 million that were 23 years old. The guy who started Redbox was there. Like, I had no business being in this room, but somehow I was so fortunate and blessed to be invited to it by a good friend of mine. About 3 weeks later, the guy who was putting on the mastermind, who I'm really good friends with now, emails me. And he says, hey, so we're doing a fundraiser. The mastermind, there's 25 of us in it or so. I just wanted to see if you want to be involved. We're raising money for microfinance loans for people in Tanzania so they can start businesses and really be self-sustaining. I said, awesome, I'm in, man. How can I help? He said, well, we're doing a skydive. we're doing a skydive in Orlando. It's only going to cost X amount of money. We're going to film it, do a bunch of PR, raise a bunch of money, go out there and get people to contribute toward it, and we'll have fun. And I pulled back. I'm like, oh, I'm not going to do it. Totally not going to do it. But because I put the intention down, I'm like, you know what? Let me say yes before I change my mind. So I said yes, sent the money over, just a few $100. And I show up, guys and gals, and the picture that I saw afterwards, I saw the video, and it's actually this picture on my wall behind me, in front of me. The picture that really hit me, and I didn't realize I had done this or this happened, was it showed me skydiving. We were out there at the Space Center, the Skydive Space Center. We were skydiving, and the picture how it was taken was me over the ocean. And it was like this crystal clear, amazing looking ocean. I'm looking at it going, that's eerie. I had no intention to ever skydive, even though I put it down. I thought it'd be kind of the cool, lifeless thing to do. I put the intention out. Within 3 months, I was skydiving, not just skydiving, but skydiving over a tropical ocean. This is crazy. So put those intentions out there, guys and gals, and it's amazing what can happen in your life. All right? So back here. So get that worksheet. I'm going to kind of blow through this section. This is a 5-minute section because I am going a little bit over time. I really appreciate you guys hanging on here. So if it kicked you off, make sure you refresh and come back on. So once we have a plan in place, one of the biggest ways we derail ourselves is we don't have a plan to stay in place, during that year. Like I said, it's human nature for us to meander and wander. And I found that when I put bumpers around me during the year, it helps me to stay on track. So kind of like this little kid bowling, right? You got those bumpers out there because you can toss the ball down there and it's going to guide you toward the ultimate goal. But if you don't have the bumpers there, it's really easy to fall into the gutter. And then you get shuffled around there, you lose sight of where you're going. And I think this is a problem that a lot of people have, myself included. I had that massively and still do, so there's still some things I'm really working on in a big way, and my team knows it, and I'm struggling with some things. I'm struggling with some organization and saying no to some things. And that's something I'm working through right now. But how do you set up some bumpers in your life? Well, like I said, most people, they go through their planning process. They choose a big yearly goal. I want to do 75 deals this year, right? Their goal might be kind of vague. 75 deals is pretty clear, but I would roll it back and be more specific on why 75 deals. Because 75 deals, you could be broke and do 75 deals, that were unprofitable. I could go out and do 75 deals like in a month right now, and I could lose my ass and be broke in a month. So let's make sure we're crazy specific about it. 75 deals, these types of deals. I want to get my first 4 deals done by March. And then get up to X amount of deals by the end of the year. And the average profit per deal on those has to be at least $8,000. Okay, get crazy specific with that goal. Okay, so that's the first thing. They make their goals very, very vague. So get crazy specific with it. Next, they only kind of do their goal setting and themes once a year. And kind of behind the scenes, raise your hand if this is you, because I know I was this person. Or I would do my annual goal setting, because that's kind of what you're supposed to do. I'd take my goals, write them down. I wouldn't actually create a plan. I just kind of had them on there. And then I'd like, yeah, I'm going to put them here. And then I'll make sure I march toward my goals, right? And the problem is we do that once a year. And by March, we forgot about them. So then you're wandering, meandering through that year, which I think is probably happening to a lot of people on here. And then we give up those goals by March. So how do we not do that? Well, what I started to do is I started to create a theme for the year. Okay, so every year, personally, I'll go into the year and create a theme for my life and a theme for the business. And I usually kind of like to pick the number one most important thing that I want to live for that next year. And some of my actual themes for past years are take a look back and know that I did the best I could possibly do in everything I did. That was my theme. I believe it was 2011 or 2012. Okay, health and activity over everything else. That was my theme in 2014, I believe. Okay. I failed miserably at it, and I'm still failing miserably at that. Okay, that's something I have not nailed. Building something great with massive focus. Okay, that was 2014. 2015 was health and activity over all else, because 2014, we had a great year. We got started well. Didn't really focus on health at all. And I'm like, man, I got to refocus because that's most important. 2016 was lead by example in everything I do. Because I realized in my life that like, man, I'm not leading by example at home the way that I want to personally. I'm not leading by example at church the way that I want to personally. I'm not leading by example in business to our employees the way that I want to personally. And I really need to challenge myself to do that more. So come up with your theme, and you could take that quote and put it on your wall. Okay. Now let me show you guys this really quick. So behind me right now, planning for this next year, what do you think what do you think this right here is? This right here is my theme for 2017. Okay. Because I found myself in this year, we made a lot of progress. We doubled our business. We made some massive impacts locally, charity-wise. Our clients are better than ever. Our business is better than ever. We're hired people. But I realized that I fell into some really bad habits this year, and my actions did not express my priorities a lot. Okay, so I want this in my office all the time, and I suggest you guys pick your theme for the year. It could be a quote, it could be a statement, and put that thing somewhere in the work. Put that thing somewhere around you where you see it every single day. Okay, and then next, what do? So we have those guardrails. You have your annual goal, right? So let's say 75 deals for the year, right? So we need to break it down by 90-day chunks. We need to live in what we call a 90-day year. Okay, and one of the biggest ways to demotivate yourself this next year is set big goals, set a bunch of little goals below it, and then make them just for the whole year. Okay, so we'll set a goal as an example. $2 million in revenue was the goal we had this year. And then we worked it back and we went, okay, what do we need to do each quarter to hit that goal? Okay, one of our goals is to increase the leads for our customers by X%. We're like, okay, what do we need to do each quarter to hit that goal by the end of the year? Okay, if you're looking at health and fitness and you're wanting to run a marathon, you've never ran one before, it's gonna be really demotivating to say, one of my goals in 2017 is to run a marathon. Make that a goal. But then when you actually get down to planning out how you're going to accomplish that, is you go, okay, here's what I'm going to do to actually run the marathon. There's 4 quarters in the year. In order to really be able to run the marathon, by the 4th quarter, I'm probably going to have to be running at least, I need to be able to run 20 miles in one session, right? So how do I train up to that? So right now in January, probably need to get out there and start running, let's run 5 miles a week in January just to get something going. Okay, then maybe February, ramp it up, and then March and ramp it up. And so maybe by the end of the 2nd quarter, I need to be running 45 miles a week. I'm just making stuff up. I don't know what you actually do to train for a marathon. Okay, but that's how you break down your big goals into chunks that make sense that you can tackle. Okay, so with us here at Carrot, we actually have a goal board. The goal board is on the wall. Okay, and we actually have this little thing that moves on the goal board. And we set quarterly goals. So we have the end goal there. It's like, here's the end goal of this number or this thing, whatever it is, okay? And then we have quarterly goals set in with the date. Okay, in order to hit this, we think we probably need to be about here by March 1st, or by March 31st. And we probably should need to be about here by the end of that next quarter, probably about here by the end of that next quarter, okay, in order to hit this. And so those important goals, chunk them down quarterly for you like that, in order to achieve them, and then base your planning each month off of the quarterly goal, not the annual goal. And that's one of the biggest reasons that people kind of fall into that trap of not having those bumpers. Is you get 3 months into the year, and your goal is to have 75 deals or whatever it is, or do 4 million in revenue, and you feel like you're not anywhere near on that track. It feels like an elephant that you're trying to eat. Okay, but as the saying says, if you can kind of take bites out of the elephant's toe first. How do you eat a whole elephant? You start with 1 bite at a time. That's how we need to treat our goals too. Okay, so if you're wanting to do 75 deals this year, work it back and go, okay, I'm just gonna run some math really quick here. So if I want to do 75 deals in a year, and no, let's say this. So I'm gonna make it even better, because 75 deals is not what you're after. Okay, you're after the income and based on the amount of time you invested in it. So make sure your goal is ideally not. For real estate investor, ideally is not number of deals based. It's revenue based. So let's say you want to do 200,000 bucks. All right, so I've got my calculator out here. and your average profit per deal is 10,000 bucks. So divided by 10,000. So that means I've got to do 20 deals this year, right? So that's 20 deals for the whole year. But if I'm just now getting started, I know that I'm probably not going to get 5 deals done the first quarter because I've got to learn some stuff. I've got to implement some stuff. So let's say, let me get my first deal done that first quarter. Let's make it easy, something that I can achieve that, okay, not be demotivated. So that means for the next 3 quarters, I have 19 deals left to get, but I've got the first deal done. I've got some systems, I had a mentor, I'm get some things going, I got some momentum going. Let's say maybe that next quarter, I'm gonna do 5 deals. Okay, so okay, cool, so now I've got that. The next quarter, I've got my systems down, my marketing's building, getting momentum. I'm gonna do 7 deals that next quarter. Okay, and then the final quarter, I'm just making numbers up, I'm not doing the math in my head here. Then that last quarter, then we're talking, whatever it is, 9 deals that next quarter, whatever that number is. I know that's off. Okay, and then that's what you put on your wall. 1 deal by March 31st, 5 deals from March 31st to blah, the end of that quarter. And then you work back and you're like, okay, so how do I get 1 deal done this quarter? If you've never done a deal yet, find out how many leads it takes to close into a deal as a newer investor. It's probably going to be between 15 and 30 good seller leads for you as an investor, as a new investor. So your whole goal for the first quarter, guys and gals, isn't to do 20 deals. It's to get 30 good quality leads. That's way easy for anyone to do now, right? Get 30 good quality leads. That really broke it down into what you actually need to do instead of where you're trying to go. Okay, we've got to know where we're going, but we need to break it back into what we need to do. So talking to people who are not real estate investors, let's take it back to a local business here in Roseburg, to Willis, I'm just making it up, but let's say you guys want to add on 200 more clients or something like that. And I don't know how hard or easy it would be, or even if that's a goal of yours, but you want to add on 200 more clients. There's probably a certain ramp up period in getting your marketing down, your systems down and stuff like that in order to do that. So it's probably not going to be 50 clients first quarter, 50, 50, 50. It's probably going to be, you know what, let's add on, or whatever that number is. Let's add on 20 new clients first quarter, really nail our systems and our marketing. And then the next quarter, we're going to ramp it up. And then we work back and go, okay, how many leads does it take me before I close a client? Write that down, whatever your leads per close ratio is. And then we go, okay, now I've got my marching orders. Now I know that I need to get, all I'm going after, guys and gals, I'm just making it up, is 75 leads, right? So if Lewis or if Willis, if you guys are closing one new client out of every 5 good quality leads, and you're looking for 20 new clients that first quarter, and we're talking 100 leads. It's like, shoot, that's my whole marketing team's aim now, is how do I get 100 good quality leads and or upsell some of our clients to a new higher price service. Really breaks it down. So you use this 90-day chunk method. It's literally changed the way that we do things, changed the way that I live, literally. Okay. Last on the planning side, and then we're going to bounce off of here after I kind of show you how you hone in your environment. It's a 1-slide thing, an environment. Okay. And once again, guys, really appreciate you being on here. There's still lots of people on this call, but organizing your day. Okay. So let's say we've nailed everything. We've nailed our planning. We've nailed our mission that year. We've nailed our 4 key priorities or core competencies for the year. Let's say we even nailed chunking down our big goals into quarterly goals. Okay. And we sat there at the start of each quarter and we're like, okay, what are those big goals? What do we need to do in January? Okay. So now you're chunking it down even further. You're going, okay, I know my quarterly goal is to get 1 deal done. And I know I need to go out there and get 30 good quality seller leads. In January, what's my goal? I'm going to go out there in January and get 10. Okay. So what do I need to do the first week of January? I need to go out there. Maybe you have no clue how to get 10 leads. I need to go out there, and one of the things is I need to research. How do I find leads? The next thing is I need to set up a website. Okay. The next thing is I need to block off a certain budget in my business so I can focus on the budget. Okay. The next thing is actually go out there and implement 1 or 2 of the easiest lead generation types that fits your budget. Okay. So now you've worked it down, and literally, in week 1 in January, your first thing is to get a website set up and optimize it. Another first thing is to find out what lead sources you want to tackle and to find out your marketing budget. You can do all that in a couple days. Okay. And then this is how I stay on track on the day to day. Now, same thing. We all wander, guys and gals. I'll go for a week where I'm like really focused in on something. I don't use it at all. I'll go for a day where I literally sit down and I dive into the day, and I let myself get derailed, and I didn't use this sheet. And then I look back at the end of the day and I'm like wiped out. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just did so much today. I didn't get anything done. It's because I didn't use the process. Okay, whenever I sit down and use the process, I crush the day. So you can download this worksheet and use it yourself. And the important way that you use it is the reason that to-do lists never worked for me, usually, okay? They never worked for me in the past. I've tried every version of a to-do list you can think of. I tried a journal. This actually is the journal I used to use. I tried a journal. I tried a piece of blank paper. I tried digital ways of tracking my to-dos and my dailies and things like that. For me, I'm a really tactile person. I like the physical thing. Okay, you'll see sticky notes everywhere in our offices because I like to write things down and stuff and stick them places, and then I'll put them somewhere. But for me, I have to physically have a piece of paper on my desk. Okay, that's just the way that I work. And it can't be me just brain dumping stuff into a list, because what ends up happening is we end up taking the stuff that is urgent and less important. That's the stuff that creeps up at the top of our mind, is the urgent and less important stuff. Okay. And instead, what happens is that derails our day. So once again, this piece of paper here, and you can download this below the player. The first thing that I do is I list the high important. I start down here in the bottom left, stuff that's high important and low urgency. So this is stuff like this planning. There's no real urgency that you've got to get this done this week. It's just possibly one of the most important things you could do of the entire next 365 days. So it's really important. Okay. Another high important, low urgency thing could be, let's say it's 3 months out from your anniversary. It's really important that you make sure you buy a gift for your spouse and do whatever you're going to do. But it's not urgent yet. Okay. But let's say it's 2 days before the anniversary or the day of. Now it's high important and high urgency. Okay. Because you're doing that. You're doing your business for family, for making that impact on your family and your spouse. Because that's very important, very urgent. Stuff on low importance, high urgency, that's stuff that like emails that come in your inbox where people are asking you questions, trying to dictate your time for you, trying to dictate your schedule for you. You need to take control of your schedule. And low important, high urgency stuff is stuff we should outsource or delegate. That's stuff that we did a call on about 2 months ago on how to hire, how I 10x my productivity. And we talk about it on the delegation side. And no matter your budget, I don't care if you have $50 a month as a budget to delegate or $50,000 a month to delegate, you can delegate. It's a mindset issue more than a budget issue. And on that call, we walk you through how to. Just go to carrotcast.com and you'll dive into every process and how we do that, how we 10x our productivity, how I hired a personal assistant, exactly what you need to do, this, that, and the other. Okay. But the stuff on the right side is low importance, high urgency. That stuff like, man, I need to get that oil changed today, but I just really don't have the time to do it. Have someone do it for you. Okay. That's that email that just came in that someone's like, oh my gosh, you've got to make me this offer on this house now, otherwise I'm going somewhere else. And you just sat down for your planning for the next year that day. Like, what I would do personally? That to me is a low important, high urgency thing, because doing that one deal likely isn't going to change your entire next year. But sitting down and doing that high importance task of this planning could change your life. Okay, so start there. Start with high importance, low urgency stuff. Write that stuff down. That's the stuff that you are needing to do. Okay, that's the stuff that you're needing to do. Let me choose my window here again. And then the next stuff is the stuff that needs to get done, but you don't need to do it. Outsource that, delegate it. And then I go to that middle section. Okay, order of priority. Then I start jotting down. That's what I do during my day. And it can be really quick. Hey, write this blog post, time allowed. I'm giving myself 60 minutes on it. And here it is. Okay. And make sure you're ordering them in order of priority, because a lot of people, they'll do a to-do list, but they'll start with the easiest thing rather than the most important thing. Start with the thing that's the most important, oftentimes the hardest. Okay. Get that success under your belt, and then you'll start to see a lot of stuff. Then cross them out, check them off, whatever. Another couple parts of this worksheet that really are magical for me are oftentimes in a to-do list, you would mix in a to-do list, call Jake or call whoever, right? So now we have phone calls to make, we have personal notes, so now your personal life stuff isn't getting lost. Okay, so let's say you've got that birthday coming up for someone in your family. Write that up here. Get flowers for X. Okay, so that's a personal note, or a scheduled doctor's appointment, right? So that's where stuff goes in there. So this sheet is actually going to help you control your day for your whole life, not just your business. And I can tell you it's revolutionized it for me when I use it, and that's the key, just getting consistent with it. And you can download that right below where you're watching this right now on the replay or live. All right, the last part, guys and gals, is crafting a winning environment. Okay, and it's amazing that almost everyone, I mean, there's been some people drop off and they had to go somewhere, and a bunch of people said they're going to check out the rest of the recording. But I'm going to give away these 3 books here in about 4 minutes. Okay, I'm going to answer any questions you guys have. But this last section here, which is 1 slide, is craft a winning environment. And I started to really look at one of the things that I do in my life that really helps enrich me a lot, our team members a lot. And honestly, it's small stuff, but it's a big deal for me, is your environment shapes you. So why are more of us not shaping our environments? So they're intentional about filling great stuff, filling your mind with great stuff. Okay, and I'm just going to show you some pictures I took literally today before the call, just on some of the things within a 20-foot, some things within a 10-foot walking radius of where I am right now. Okay, this is within a 10-foot walking radius. This does not include the quotes we have on the wall when you walk in our offices. Does not include the canvas we have at the top of our stairs that is really inspiring. It doesn't include the stuff and the pictures we have in our boardroom or this or that or our studio. This is within 10 feet of where I'm standing right now, because I spend the most time here in my office. This is a picture. It kind of looks dark because of the lighting in that picture, but this is a picture of part of our customer success team's office right next to me. And this is what became of our 2015 planning for, our planning for 2016. So in October of 2015, when we sat down and did this new planning session process I walked through with you, it ended up being these little things we call product roadmaps. Okay, so this one's marketing, this one's development, this one's new products, this one's customer success. So you have to determine what sections of your business are important. Okay, so it could be marketing in your business. It could be marketing people could be another one. Whatever it is, there might be just one roadmap. Okay, like I said, don't feel, guys and gals, you have to start where we are, because we have 10 employees, 5, 6, 7, 10 independent contractors, thousands of customers. We didn't start there though. When we started this business, it was a 1-page planning document. Okay, as things expand and more people are involved, then the plans expand too, because now we can make a bigger impact with more people. We have more things going on. We can tackle more projects. Okay, but do your planning in the space and spot in your life and career that you are. And I would suggest, if you're a one-man shop, if you're a 2-person shop, if you're doing under $100,000 in revenue, have a 1-page plan and put it on your wall. 1 page. And that 1 page is going to take the things that you feel, the processes that you need to improve. Put processes in the top 3, 4 processes you need to improve and put them on there. Okay, the marketing that you're going to do to hit that revenue number that you're looking for. What marketing things are you going to tackle and projects are you going to do? Is there anything on the people side of it that you need to do in delegation? Okay, write those things down. Get this person, get this contractor, write these 4 systems and delegate this. Okay, is there anything on you that you want to expand your skill set in leadership? Maybe you've got one that's education here. That's like, I need to learn these 2 skills. I need to find this mentor, and I need to do X. Okay, write that stuff down. And you don't have to do it fancy. It could be a physical piece of white paper that you wrote those things down on. The important thing is you wrote them down and put them on the wall. So we walk in and always know what we're accomplishing, what we're tackling in each department, each different part of the department, okay, part of the company. This actually, I'm looking at it right now. This is the bottom of my computer screen, okay? So this is the bottom of my computer screen. I know that I'm inherently a massively flawed person, and I will find 4,000 other things to do before the thing that I should actually be doing. And I'm not sure if you guys can resonate with this or relate to that, but that's me, and I just have to deal with it. So for me, I've got to make sure I put those little things all around me that make me remember what I should actually be focusing on. So this is from a book called The One Thing from Gary Keller. Highly suggest you guys look at it. But it's called The Focusing Question. What's the one thing that I can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? That's in front of me at all times when I'm working. This right here is a little reminder. I put it up about a month ago that I'm like, man, I really need to work on this better with the team. I still need to do it better. I've been implementing some things, but I need to meet with more of our team members. What's exciting them, what's frustrating them, asking them those questions. Kind of walking the trap lines, my mentor calls it. So that's in front of me as a reminder. Down here, I'm going through. I have a leadership coach, and he's basically charted out the next 6 months of my life on leadership stuff. And now, was I able to pay someone $2,500 a month for leadership coaching 4 years ago? No, I wasn't. My leadership coaching then, guys and gals, is these books I'm going to be giving away to people at the end of this call. Okay, it was books. You can buy them for $10, $15. That is your leadership coaching. As you grow and as you are fortunate enough to get more income, then you can bring in people to help you with that stuff. But that's in front of me at all times. That's that quote behind me. That's my theme for next year personally. Action expresses priorities. So every time I read it, I'm like, man, am I taking the right actions that show the priorities? And the big thing for me, guys and gals, like this hits home for me in a big way, is this last year we did amazingly business-wise. I think I grew in a lot of areas of my life. Our family did great. But you know what? I really realized that I was not showing my family and my loved ones where the priority was at all times. And that's not a cool thing. That's not why I became an entrepreneur. It's not at all. So this for me is as much, if not more, my personal life and family as it is business. So make sure you have your theme for the year that really inspires you. And that's where it is, right behind my desk. I've got all my books there, got my carrot buds and stuff like that to motivate me. Some things I like, I'm a baseball guy, so I've got some baseball things in here, some canvases that have empowering messages on them. I've got my core values poster. So that is literally, if I look over the top of my computer, this is what I see. I can see a picture of my kids, a picture of me and some buddies doing some travel. I've got some golf balls there because I really love golfing. My wife, a framed thing from a newspaper article several years back. That kind of excites me about why I'm doing what I'm doing in our core values. So literally, it's almost by accident, just by looking at my computer, I barely look over to the right, 2 inches, and I see all that right there. And it's very, very purposeful, because I want to make sure that I'm surrounding myself with stuff that inspires me and centers me on why it's important. Okay, there's my bookshelf. I wish I could say that I read those books, but I maybe I've read half of them. So if there's a book on that bookshelf you guys want, let me know. Okay, and to sum it all up, you got to reset that mindset. Have a solid annual planning process, keeping course throughout the year, crafting a winning environment. If we miss one of these things, the next year is not going to be epic. It's just not going to be. And it's a struggle. One thing I don't want everyone to be looking at is like, oh my gosh, Trevor's got it made, because I absolutely do not. I do not at all. There's some big things that I'm working through and struggling on and improving and finding out about myself and challenging myself on and realizing I'm really bad at. It's like every level of business you go, there's new challenges. Every level of business you go, you have to keep on asking that question, why? Why do I want to keep going? Why do I want to keep growing? Why do I want to leave that job? Why do I want to take on this client? Why do I need extra? Why do I need $10,000 a month in income? Can I be happy with where I'm at now? If you're at $20,000 a month in income, why should you get to $100,000 a month in income? Is that going to make you happier? If it's not, why should you do it? Why shouldn't you just stop where you are right now and enjoy it? Okay, so nail the mindset, annual planning process. Keep course throughout the year with those bumpers. Your 90-day chunks, okay, your theme for the year, put that on the wall, and your goals, put them on the wall, okay? And then you've got to craft a winning environment, because every day there's going to be things that are trying to knock us down. It could be people on social media. It could be people in real life. It could be our families. It could be our friends. It could be our team members. It could be our own internal voice saying why we can't do something. And if we're not surrounding ourselves with stuff that's going to completely fire us up every single day, everywhere you look, it's really easy to go off course. It's really easy to wander. And it's really easy come April, May, June, July to look back and go, man, my life's the same as it was a year ago. What's changed? Nothing's changed. I kind of had a little bit of fire in January and December, and I did some stuff that was different, but none of it stuck. And I'm not in a spot in life where I want to be. My friends think I'm in a different spot in life. Mentally inside, I know I'm not there. And I'm saying all this, guys and gals, from experience. So it's not me saying anything that I haven't lived through and even sometimes go back through. But the cool thing is when you have these frameworks and you have these things in place, you are going to experience the dips. You are going to experience times where you're asking yourself, why am I doing this? Is it worth it? You are going to ask yourself, you're going to experience times where you are absolutely certain that what you're doing is not what you should be doing. You should go back and get a job, or you should do whatever. And maybe that's the case. I'm not saying it's not. Maybe it is the case. You just ask yourself that why. Okay, maybe there's certain times where you're just high and on top of the world, like you can't lose. I can guarantee you are going to have life is going to reset for you. Okay, things aren't always on the up and up all the time. Knock on wood. So we've got to craft that winning environment. All right, and I'm going to dive in here, guys. And guys, if there's any questions, I would love for y'all to throw questions through. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to turn on my video again, and I'm going to give away some books. But the way I'm going to do it is this. Okay. So making sure y'all are awake. So I've got a few books here, and if there's amazing answers, I'll give away more. Okay. So one of the books is this right here, The 5 Major Pieces to the Life Puzzle by Jim Rohn. It's an amazing read. Anyone can read this thing. It's like 115 pages of big words. It's awesome. It was a life changer for me when I read it the first time several years back. The next one we've got is Ambition. And this one, once again, is by a good friend of mine, mentor here locally, Seth Buackley. Amazing man of faith. This book does not talk about the faith side of it, but he's just a great guy. And it goes through his trials and tribulations on how ambition can actually flame you out, and how ambition can actually guide you in the wrong directions, how it can confuse you, how it can overwhelm you, how it can make you not happy. And he walks through how he did that with his previous company, and he sold it for a bunch of money. He was the least happy he'd ever been in his life, and how he came out of that, and how he changed that this next time around. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we're going to be giving away 2 of those, one of these other ones. I want you guys to send through the questions panel right now. Send through the questions panel right now. What is the one thing you're going to do within this next week that you're going to absolutely fully commit to? It could be a simple thing. What's the one thing you're going to do this next week you're going to fully commit to, that you know if and when you do that and you follow through with it, it's going to change your life this next year? It could be something from today's call. It could be something else. Let me know what that is going to be, and I want you to fully commit to it right now. Okay, and I know this is getting kind of like very direct, but it just so pains me in my heart, seeing people who want to make a difference, seeing people who are going out there to start businesses or grow businesses, and they came into it with one dream and they're living a different dream. Okay, that was what happened to me. And I know when you do things right, when you do things the way that I walked through here, at least this works for me, borrow what's going to work for you, and create your own process and system if you want. But when you do those right things, it can truly change your life and your focus. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick the best 3, just from reading these through, that I feel resonate with me the most, seem like they have the most commitment, that you're going to make the most change this next year. Okay, Ken says, thanks, I really need to hear this. Was getting stressed trying to figure out how to make 2017 great. 2016 was really rough. And man, that's the thing. Like, this is the perfect time to get this done. And it's the perfect time to pull back and go, you know what? Even though it feels like I've got so much on my plate right now, there's nothing more important than going through this. If you're a spiritual person, probably the first thing you should do is pull back and reset yourself there, you know, and then dive in and make that a part of your plan here. Let's see, Ray, work backwards from yearly goals to find monthly and weekly needs to do. Yep, exactly. Ray, what were you doing before? What are you doing right now? Is it kind of one of those things where you show up to your desk or wherever it is and you just kind of go, okay, what do I need to do today? Now, I'm not saying that to bash you, because I do that still sometimes. You know, I think we all do. So what do you do right now, Ray, on how do you plan out your day? Is it literally that you show up, it's like, okay, what do I need to do today? Anthony, so Anthony's a real estate investor. Talk to sellers and make offers. So awesome, but make sure you put specifics to it, Anthony. Okay, so if you have a goal, make sure you have a goal, have a good reason why that goal is important. Got to be more than numbers. You're going to be unhappy in a year or two, even if you hit that goal. Okay, and then work back and go, okay, not just talk to sellers and make offers. How many sellers and how many offers do I need to make to hit that goal? that year, and then work it back to how many do you need to do this quarter, and this next quarter, the next quarter. Yeah, Ray said the way he usually plans out his day is just whatever needs to be done. So where you're probably living a lot of your time is right here. Where you're probably living a lot of your time, man, is, where's that? Right there. Is low importance, high urgency. And what happens when we're in low importance, high urgency time is we feel busy, we feel overwhelmed, you feel like you got to the end of that day or week and didn't accomplish anything big. That's the symptom of focusing on low importance, high urgency stuff. So make sure, Ray, that you download this sheet, work with it, stay diligent on it, and come up with those goals and inspire you. And that's one of the biggest things that I've found helps me is when you have a big goal and your goals are very clear and they're on your wall, in those times when I'm confused about what I should actually be tackling for the day, I just pull back and go, okay, you know what? I am inherently flawed. I need to go look at what we said was important this year in this quarter, and now let me reset what's important for my day. Okay, so that's why it's so important to have those on the wall, because in those days where you're not exactly sure what you need to be doing, you need to pull away and look at that and go, is what I'm doing today marching toward that? If not, let me do those things that are. Yeah, so business related, you decide on an accounting solution to get off your back. That's a good one. This one, commit to making my life plan that includes my real estate business. I think your ideas will be great help to me. Awesome. So what I'd like you to do is be even more clear on that. Not just commit to my life plan. Say literally Wednesday next week, I am carving out the whole day to go through X, Y, and Z. Like that's how specific you guys need to get here. Specificity is what gets results. Specificity is what gets action taken. Being vague and broad is what gets us to be confused about what we should be doing. And that's where we start to then go do something else. So I want you guys to be literally saying, from this call today and from other stuff I know I need to do, I am blocking off X on X day to do X, and it's going to help me do X in my life in 2017. Like until we commit to it that much and you actually put it on your calendar right now, I'm talking go add a new tab to your computer, go to your calendar, pick a day next week, block the whole thing off, block out the half day before that so none of it rolls into that day. Block out the half day after that just for thinking and making sure that you have it all done, and block it out now. If you don't do it now, it's probably not going to happen. Yep, high urgency, low importance stuff. Ray said was stuff that was getting it. It's funny that the software we use for this chat stuff, it doesn't tell us people's names. So it gives you like an avatar and a color. So Red Deer from Roseburg. Let me see who this was. So Red Deer from Roseburg says, declutter and organize to free up my mindset to focus on 2017 to be the best year. Awesome. I love it. So be specific. When are you going to do that first decluttering push, and how? Is it going to be tomorrow? Is it going to be today? Is it going to be next week? What day next week? Is it Wednesday? What are you going to start with? Are you going to go to your drawer? Are you going to go to your car? Whatever it is. Get crazy specific. Put it on your calendar. Okay? That's awesome. So setting that wedding date, that will motivate us to generate some income. There you go. That's a great wedding dates, having kids. Those are like awesome, real. Those are like real about creating urgency in your life for the important things. That does it for you, right? I love it. Let's see, I'm missing here. Awesome. So I'll be very specific on the steps I need to take. I will commit to doing this on Monday, December 26th. Beautiful. So this person is going to actually commit to going through this. I'm taking, that's what they said, that planning session on Monday, December 26th. And then set another date in your calendar right now, the next week or so, to take all those notes and put them into a plan. Hey, here's the 4 most important priorities for the year. I've got to nail these. If I don't nail these, the rest of the year is not going to matter. Here's my theme for the year. Put them on the wall. So make sure you have a day scheduled in your calendar for that too. Okay. Oh, this is a cool one. So Kylie, man, this is really good. It says, I'm so much happier and productive in life and business when I take time for my health and spend time in the mountains. This week, in capital letters, I will sign up for and commit to the training plan to run an ultra marathon next year. Dude, I love it. I love it. And Kylie actually just left his day job within the past few weeks. So congrats, man. Okay, let's see. Cool. There's some good ones in here. All right, guys and gals. So for those people who put those in, there's a lot more people on this call than people who actually put stuff in here. Okay. Awesome. Today, as soon as I'm finishing you. Oh, Tammy. Awesome. Good to see you, Tammy. Dan Snyder, write a plan down and not just have it in my head. That's the biggie, guys, because same thing. We all have these little bursts of inspiration. Okay. We all have these bursts of inspiration and we get crazy exciting, crazy clear. But then oftentimes we forget to write it down. Then if we write it down, we forget to then do something with that. So it really is a change in the way that we do things. Okay, we've got to motivate ourselves, excite ourselves about a greater future. That's why the planning session starts with that. Okay, that's why it starts with that. Let's review it. Let's celebrate. And let's expand our minds. Okay, and then next we've got to digest all this stuff and think about it. And then we've got to get it written down. But then last, you got to actually take all that jumble of notes you had and make it make sense for a plan. So that's why I'm saying that we really have to be disciplined with actually blocking out blocks of time to do this. I'm not talking a half a day. It's not going to get it done probably. A full day it might, for sure. For a smaller company and one person shop, you could totally do it in a day. Okay. But for us, it's a 2-day process to do all the brainstorming. And that's not 2 full days. Like I said, it's a day and a half, really. The other half, we're just going to have fun. And then it's another day to 2 days of us taking all the notes and putting them into a format that makes sense for us to tackle. So that's the biggest thing, is block the time out in your schedule now. Okay. Awesome. So this person says from Minneapolis, I'm going to focus on cleaning up my office and getting rid of old mail, taking a look at a closet. There's why so much clutter. There's so much clutter in my environment. Deborah from New York says. Awesome. That's beautiful. Let me see if I missed in here. Cool. So what we're going to do, guys and gals, is everyone who has made a comment so far, you're going to get a book. So hopefully that motivates all the people who are standing on the sidelines, not committing, not doing these things. If you're on a carrot webinar, and now there's people piling it in here. That's funny. If you're on a carrot webinar, you oftentimes get rewarded for engaging. And so everyone who has made a comment as of right 3, 2, 1 now, about what exactly specifically what you're going to do, when you're going to do it the next week, we're going to send you a book. So please send through. We'll in here, we'll get your address, we'll get your mailing address. We'll get you a book. It'll either be one of these 2 books. So I've got piles of them in my desk or in my office. And I want you to really take some time in January to sit back and read and absorb the message. Okay. David right here, you guys in the nick of time. Thanks. Finishing with Trevor's process for planning an epic 2017. I'm committing to attack my fear of marketing my company with social media. Can you suggest some direction? I'm going to review the Facebook Leads Masterclass to start with. The first thing, David, I know this is kind of getting off topic on this, but I'll throw it out here. Probably the next thing you want to do is show up on next week's mastermind call or set up a strategy call with Adrian on our team, which I'll send you the link to set up a strategy call if you haven't already. So set up a strategy call with Adrian right there. But what I would focus on first is why. So that's always a question I like to ask, is why social media, right? Are there other types of marketing that are going to be more effective? Are there types of marketing that you can do, that you're already doing, that you can ramp up? We have a lot of clients crushing with social media, but at the same time, actually Kylie on here is a Facebook genius on the call here. But there might be other things that are maybe lower risk, lower cost, higher leverage for you right now. So that's the first thing, is need to determine, is social media the thing right now? So hop on a strategy call or come back on next week's mastermind call and we'll dive into that. All right. Beautiful. Awesome. Well, guys and gals, I'm done. It's probably the longest webinar I've possibly ever done. And I appreciate you guys hanging on here. I've got to go. We're actually going to be hitting the road here in about 20 or 30 minutes to go out of town and drive to Klamath Falls for Christmas. So we're trying to get out before it gets too cold and dark with all the snow and stuff. But I really appreciate you guys hopping on here, and I'm so passionate about what we do. And what I hope is, I know that the vast majority of everyone on this call will not do what I said, okay? I wouldn't have done it 5 years ago. I would have thought it's way cool. I would have pulled back. I'm like, man, that's awesome stuff, but now I'm just going to get distracted by looking at 4,000 other things. The very small minority of people who will take either the whole process or part of the process and implement it within the next week to 2 weeks, literally is probably less than 5% of you guys on this call. And that's just straight up being blunt and truthful. So you start to look at it as why are certain people successful and certain people aren't? Well, honestly, certain people step out and do the things that need to be done, okay, and other people don't. Other people find excuses. Other people find other high urgency, low importance things to do because they're afraid of what the future has to hold. If you have questions and you're not clear about a certain step, ask us. We're here for you. We will help you through the process. We will have all of the slides up and on the replay page where you can look at the slides here in the next couple of days. And I just want you guys to go out there and change your life, change your 2017. Let me know what works for you. Let me know what you're struggling with, and we're gonna help you, all right? If you're not a Carrot customer and you think that being surrounded by this stuff on a consistent basis could really help you, not in addition to crushing it on the online side, go to oncarrot.com/plans and check us out. Our clients are pulling in more online leads than any other platform for real estate investors in the entire world by far. They crush it in the rankings, and it's no accident. We work our butts off over here, and that's why our product roadmap is massive, because we want to make the biggest impact for you guys that we can. And I really appreciate someone saying this really quick. They popped in here from Phoenix, says, I'm scared. Well, that's something that I'm gonna leave everyone with this, okay? If any of you guys are scared about achieving or not achieving the future, if any of you guys are scared that on what people might say, what people might do if you achieve it or if you fail, one thing that has really helped me is this, okay? First of all, I look at the worst case scenario, okay? What is gonna happen if you don't do this? What's your life gonna be like in 5 years if you don't do it, all right? And that's where I was before I started Carrot. I'm like, well, I can keep on running these 4 different projects and businesses and doing this. I can keep on doing that. And I sat in my annual planning session, like, you know what is my life going to be like in 5 years if I don't make a massive move right now? And I'm like, well, it's probably going to be a lot the same, maybe a little bit better, maybe a little bit worse, probably more frustrated. Really my financial picture is probably not going to be much different. I might actually have less money in the bank because I'm spreading it too thin. I don't know. I don't think my life is going to be measurably better in 5 years if I keep on my current path. And so I said, okay, there's no option other than changing. There's no option other than doing something big to change. Okay. And that is where I made that decision right then and there. It's like, I'm getting rid of these other 4 companies and side projects, even though they were making me 6 figures a year in revenue. I'm like, getting rid of them. Okay. One of them I just gave away. I'm like, the money is less important than my time and sanity. Okay. I gave them away, got rid of them. And then I said, I'm focusing on this. And I'm not going to gauge my success or failure off of what someone thinks about me. I'm going to gauge my success or failure off of, did I do the best I could possibly do personally at the end of the year? If I could answer yes to that, I feel it was a success. If I answer no, then I can't. I'm the only one I have to answer to. All right. So if you're scared, guys and gals, it's all in your head. You got to get out of it. And you got to remember, you're not going to be here forever. You're not going to be here forever. So if you do not do it right now, you literally may not have the chance next year. You may not. All right. Have an amazing rest of the week, guys and gals. Have a great Christmas, great holidays, great New Year's, and we will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.